Okay, I think we're live now. Okay, that didn't take as long as I thought. We were having some problems starting the stream, but I guess it sorted itself. So, hello everyone. Uh, Welcome to episode number 36. Going to give a few minutes, let everybody kind of roll in, just in case they saw that previous message about the technical difficulties and went to get their snacks or something, expecting me to take a few minutes. So yeah, just give it a few seconds, and I'll kind of look over the chat and see where we're at with as far as like comments and feedback. If there's anything I need to kind of address right away. Okay, good. We looks like we've got a variety of questions this time. Should be interesting. Okay, so for those who don't know, I usually do this bit at the beginning of every live stream. For anyone that's new, because we have a lot of games out now, bringing in new people, and some of them check out this live stream. The Q&A live stream is basically just your chance to ask me some questions directly, to have access to me to get some answers as far as what's going on with certain games or all games or one specific game. Most of you are here for Dark Deception, but a few other people are here for Monsters and Mortals or Super Dark Deception or some of the new published games like House 2 and The Bagman and, well, it's too soon for the one we just announced yesterday, but Hunted is another big one. So yeah, we have a lot of topics to cover now, and there's a lot more games to kind of inquire about. So what the first thing I'll do is kind of read through our member chat for our YouTube channel. We have a lot of awesome members that support us, and I'll usually go through some of their questions first, and then from there I'll take super chats. And then at the end, if there's anything interesting in our email that hasn't been addressed yet, I'll also access our inbox for that to kind of dig through there and see if there's any like cleanup questions for the end of the stream. So, alrighty, without further ado, let me kind of see what you guys have in store for me this time. And the connection is a little bit spotty for some reason right now, so it's possible that the stream might drop for a few seconds here and there. Just kind of bear with me if anything like that happens. Hopefully not, but it's happened at least once every other stream, so we'll see. Okay, Bonnie Gaming, kind of leading things off. This is like one of the first comments in the stream in the chat since the video link was posted. It says, "Is the Chapter 4 map, or are the Chapter 4 maps coming to Monsters and Mortals at some point?" I think that's been. Oh, we got some buffering going. I hope it's not already dropping. I think that's been a common question in a lot of our previous Q&As. The Chapter 4 maps are one that we've kind of put on pause for a long time with Monsters and Mortals. Many of you know the game's been out for like 6 years, and we've just kind of been slowly kind of improving it over the time. It's a very low budget game, so it doesn't have the resources of something like Dead by Daylight or, you know, bigger multiplayer games where it can just, you know, that's not like our focus as far as the game goes, where that's like our number one game and we're putting all of our resources into it. So we've had to kind of update it slowly. And one of the casualties of that were the Chapter 4 levels from Dark Deception. We never really, while we did get the characters integrated, it kind of cut off at Mama Bear. So we do have Mama Bear and Trigger Teddy in there. Several of you have kind of data mined the game and found their models and animations, but we've never really added them to the game. And that kind of goes for the Chapter 4 levels as well. Joy Joy Land, the hospital from Torment Therapy, and, you know, obviously Mama Bear's cabin and the caves from Barely Buried. They've all never been added. And that was kind of one of our goals on the roadmap for this year, was after Piggy and the Doors DLC, and also after we get the 2 new game modes in, which are coming very soon, Then we would look at if there's enough time left in the year to get those last 3 levels in as a base game addition. So we're still targeting that. We still have enough time to do it. I don't know if we could get all 3, but I think we could get at least 1 level in. I mean, it would be awesome to get Joy Joy Land in because we have that in Hunted and it works really well. So it makes sense to at least get the one that everybody wants in if we can't address all 3 and then kind of, eke them in as we go. So we're going to do our best, but obviously our big promise was the Piggy indoors, so that's our focus until that's done. And getting the 2 new game modes in as well, just so there's more variety of what type of game modes you can play. And then from there, we'll increase the maps that are available. So yeah, it's always our intention to add them. It's just always kind of keeps getting pushed back by other things. Okay. Let me see. Are you guys still seeing the stream okay? Because it's giving me an error on my side. I hope it's okay. Sometimes it just throws me a false error, but it seems like the stream is still doing okay. Let me move on to the next question. Try to get somebody different. Just kind of mix it up. See, Cucumber Salad asks, will there be a Malak Archives 3? Yeah, we do have the book trilogy or the books planned as a trilogy to start with, the Malak Archives. So there is a volume 3 that is planned. We haven't started writing it yet. We're just kind of loosely discussing ideas for that. With the Malak Archives Volume 2 coming this year, there's not going to be any time to get Volume 3 out this year. So that'll be probably like a 2027 release whenever that comes out and we do the pre-order and everything for that. So yeah, but we do have at least like the bare minimum 3 books planned. So beyond that, just depends on how much demand there is for it, like how much the fans want more books. If there's enough support, if people are buying the books, then yeah, we can keep it going and keep expanding the book series. Otherwise, I think 3 books is a pretty good um, size for the series. It's got enough content in there to be interesting for newcomers, and I hope like eventually it grows in support and we can keep expanding, like doing new arcs within that series to explore other kind of gaps in the lore that the game has or other interesting characters that just don't have the time to develop them inside the main Dark Deception storyline. Let me see what else we got. As you know, okay, get one thing out of the way real quick. And most of you already know this, but like anything related to Dark Deception Chapter 5 release dates, I can't answer. So if any of you are sending super chats, it doesn't matter how you ask it. You can think of the most clever way to ask it that's indirect, just to get some kind of hint. It's still going to be like a flat out, you'll see answers. So I hope I don't get like, like 30 of those in a row. Because I like answering questions. I like giving you guys real answers. And if you ask questions that I can't answer, then it's just going to be 20 minutes of you'll see. That's kind of boring for anyone that comes in to watch the Q&A. So please, like definitely ask me questions that I can answer. Don't ask questions that I won't be able to answer. It's less interesting that way. Let's see, Flex Mighty 12. Got a few questions here. Let me pick which one is the most interesting. Okay, 2 are for Chapter 5. Can't answer those. It says, eventually, could you give us a tour of the studio and see how everything works, maybe in a special video? Yeah, I mean, I think I've had some people ask me that before to do like a little tour of Glowstick Entertainment. I think the problem with that is that Glowstick Entertainment is kind of spread apart all over the place. So we're not like one central office where everybody works. We're very much like a remote company where everybody's working remotely and we just kind of talk to each other through Discord and different things, email, different messenger or chat messengers. So there's not like one big um, like Bandai Namco office with all the cool statues and stuff and memorabilia and collectibles. We have kind of an interesting setup here in this office in Taiwan, but it's very small. So I could do like a little tour of that, but maybe at the end because we're switching offices soon. So if I show it to you now, then it's not going to be the office anymore in a few months. So I'll kind of hold off on that. But eventually, it would be cool to do something like that. Maybe like post chapter 5, because then maybe more people will be interested to see it. Like, oh, you guys finally finished chapter 5. Okay, now we're interested to see like where you guys work. I think right now there's a lot of people who think like Glowstick Entertainment Office, we all just have hammocks and we just sleep all day and like read the where's chapter 5 questions and have a good like sip tea and just kind of blow them off. No, we're working in here all day, so when they can see the results of that work, then it'll be more interesting to show like where the magic was made, type of thing. Let me scroll down, get a couple more from the member chat. And again, thank you to all our members. Some of you have been with us for a very long time. We always appreciate that you guys are supporting our channel. I think all the fans support us in a different way. This is just for the YouTube support since this is a live stream and we're on YouTube. Um, yeah, we have some people who have been members since like 2018. So that's amazing. That's always amazes me that we have that people believe in us that much. Like we always appreciate that. So I'm glad that you guys are also active. Okay. Shadow X Acno. Wait, is that a question? Oh, that's a discussion. Okay. Jump the gun. Sorry, I thought that was a question, but it's a little mini discussion going on here. Yep, we got the. For that, I saw some people pointing out about my Mario hat. I grabbed that in Osaka when I took my son to Japan recently. And so first thing he dragged me to was the Super Mario World, which was really cool, but man, it's crowded. It's like insanely crowded. So every ride was like 2.5 hours, 3 hours. So we did all the little mini games because that was like the only thing we could actually get to do without waiting like the entire day. And then we picked up some Mario hats and the watches and stuff. So it was a good time. I really enjoy going to Japan. I think 2027, I'm going to start working more in Japan because we have our. For anyone that didn't see the announcement yesterday, we announced a new published game, which is Blackout Fatal Exposure. It's very much a game for people that love interactive novels and interactive games like Danganronpa and Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney. I think in Japan it's just called Ace Attorney. But if you really love those story-driven, investigative, suspenseful, dramatic type story games, this is definitely in the vein of that. It's heavily inspired by that, and a little bit of Exit 8 with the anomaly spotting with the photo examination. But it's like a really awesome mix, and I feel like it kind of taps into a lot of the horror vibe with different makers that I see on YouTube, like Chilla's Art and the Exit 8 team. So it fits very well into that category. And as far as I know, I haven't played many like super horror um, Ace Attorney style games. So this will be one of the few ones to kind of scratch that itch for people. But that team's based in Nagoya. So I may go to visit them and work with them a little bit throughout the year, maybe for like a month or so. And we have some other partners in Japan. So it's like a good excuse to kind of improve my Japanese and get out of Taiwan for a little bit, although I'll still be mostly working out of Taiwan. Says, will, see, Sodom CQ asks, will Russian localization be added to Chapter 4 in the Enhanced Plus update? Yeah. That was one area that was kind of never addressed was the localization in Chapter 4, which is a huge disservice to our fans. And we all apologize for that. And we are absolutely correcting that with the remake. We've already localized chapters 1 through 4 for 13 languages. So all that chapter 4 content is now localized in Russian. We've added Polish. There's Brazilian Portuguese. So we have a wide mix. I think there's Thai also. Thai and I don't know if we added Indonesian. I have to check. I don't want to say any languages that we didn't do and get people excited. But our goal is to add as many languages as possible. So we're going to do a lot in Asia, a lot in Europe, and a lot in North and South America. Try to cover all the the major languages as well as a lot of the language support that a lot of fans ask us for. So yeah, that will be fully remedied in the remake. See, Mr. MF06 says, "Have you checked out Endocopia?" No, I haven't checked that out yet. I'm not familiar with it, but now that you've mentioned it, I will. Let me see. Take a peek. I hope it's safe to Google this. Oh, I don't know if that's a typo, but nothing's coming up for it. Okay, now it's seeing it. Oh, okay. I see the Kotaku story for this. It's a indie horror game. Putt Putt and saves between Nightmare and Putt Putt saves the zoo. Okay, well I'm gonna have to check this out then. This looks like the kind of thing I will enjoy watching. I watch a lot of videos from different creators about games like this, like just kind of like the really cheaply made indie horror games. I always love watching those. I watch a lot of that from like Manly Badass Hero and Super Horror Bro and a few other guys like Cub Scouts and just kind of some of the old hats of YouTube indie horror. So it's always fun to kind of put those on and listen to them in the background while I'm working. So yeah. Let's see. Marshall, what part of holiday horror shows the latest Super Dark Deception Chapter 3 teaser? Oh, okay. So you're referring to the holiday horror kind of warehouse area. So that is actually a teaser from Zone 2 of holiday horror. Um, it's not too revealing. It's just a glimpse. And obviously it's in 2D, which a lot of people were disappointed with. But it's a lot safer for me to drop early teasers of Super Dark Deception for basically Chapter 5 content than full 3D screenshots of the main game because we're not ready to show that yet, and we don't want to because we have a lot of design elements that we don't want to reveal until the very last moment. It's just the nature of the way the industry is now with AI and um, like how congested the space is getting. It's just you don't want to share the meat of your work too soon. When we're ready to release the game, trust me, we'll show a lot. And I will still try to drop 3D teasers as we go. I know a lot of people get upset about that and call it gatekeeping, and it is. Yeah, I'm gatekeeping the content of Dark Deception because that is our passion project, and that is what we have put 5 years of our life into. And so we're very protective of it until we're ready. So in the meantime, I'm going to share as much as I can that doesn't spoil anything or give away like a key element of the game. And of course, we've got a lot of other games to kind of fill the gap now. A lot of people choose only to support Dark Deception, but we have a lot of people that enjoy all of our games, or they enjoy 2 games or 3 games, and that's fine. Everybody's entitled to support what they want to support. Just don't get mad at people for liking our other games if all you care about is Dark Deception. That's the one thing I see a lot in the YouTube comments that I wish you guys would just kind of cut out. Like, I love that you guys support Dark Deception. And Dark Deception is, there's no game I care about more than Dark Deception. That's where we're putting all of our money and our time into compared to the other games. But, I've always stated that our goal as a company is to become a company with multiple hits, not just one. We admire companies like Capcom, Konami, From Software. You know, they've produced even Sega. Like they're not a game company. They're known for multiple games. That's like getting mad at Capcom for making Street Fighter instead of Resident Evil. You know, they want to make both. And that's kind of where we want to go to. We want to build a library of amazing games of all types. And we hope you guys will support all of them, but we know that's not realistic and everybody has their preference. But you know, don't get pissed off and kind of like chew people out for supporting one of our other games. That's counterproductive. Whatever those other games make goes into Dark Deception. So that only helps it become better and higher quality. And you know, at the level we're making Chapter 5, it doesn't always necessarily make it go faster. It just maintains the high quality bar that we've set for it. I know those that won't change anything, and I'm still going to see that in our videos, but you know, at least it's been said. Music 62209. In Prison Panic, are the executions as intricate like the ones in Danganronpa, or are they simple executions? Um, I think the ones in Danganronpa are a lot more complex and varied because they're kind of tailored to each character and their personality. So in Danganronpa, I mean, I assume a lot of people have played Danganronpa by now, that I'm not spoiling anything. It's just that each character is basically executed in a style or manner according to what their talent is, what their, I guess that's what they called it, talent, their gift, whatever they're gifted in. And they're usually gifted in these kind of weird things that you wouldn't necessarily always consider as a gift, but that's what is written into that story. Um, Ours is more straightforward. She kind of executes everybody. It's a little bit different, but it's always in a similar manner. She has her style that she does it in, and she does mix it up throughout the level, but she's pretty consistent. You could call that being fair. So they all get the same brutal, agonizing execution. Nobody's really let off the hook or treated, you know, with kid gloves or preferential treatment. She kind of gives it to everybody the same. Let me see any more member questions. Okay, I think that's it for now. I'll touch back with the member questions later on, but I kind of reached the end of it, so I'm going to jump to our super chats and see what we have today. Let me just kind of roll back to the beginning. And if I miss anybody, your super chat for whatever reason, just kind of let me know in the comments, or you can shoot it to me privately in email. I can't guarantee I'll see it like immediately and respond within 24 hours, but eventually I'll see it and I will give you your answer. So Leonard Campbell, through intent, thank you very much, Leonard. Says, is the mall Xmas theme because Papa King views himself as a god? What does Papa King think of the Christmas themes? Would Malak punish a general if they were mean to Agatha? Okay. Well, the Christmas theme, the music is more of a torment to Doug because it's more family oriented. Christmas is a family oriented holiday. And obviously Doug doesn't have the happiest family history or the outcome for his family. So it's not necessarily related to Puppet King himself. It's more of a reflection of Doug. And as far as what does he think of the Christmas themes, I don't think he thinks about them at all. That's not his focus. Puppet King is a character that is intensely focused on what he sets his eyes on, what his goal or his agenda is. Nothing else really matters. Like he's kind of aware that it's all not real or that he controls it. And would Malak punish a general if they were mean to Agatha? I don't I don't think Malak worries too much about Agatha. She can handle herself. I think he'd be kind of resolved in house. And I think Agatha would just exact revenge. against whoever messed with her. So yeah, that wouldn't be beneficial for any of the generals to pick a fight with Agatha. I mean, it's not like they can kill her. Got another one from Leonard. Actually, we got let me see. We got 4 from Leonard, so I'll just make it easy, do them all in a row. And it's not 10, it was 20. Thank you, Leonard, for those multiple contributions. So let me work through these for you. Does Puppet King make the mannequins worship him like a god? What instruments are in Darkstar's band? The mannequins are merely puppets. They don't really worship him, they serve him. They essentially have no soul. That's how he's able to control them. So they can't really worship him because they don't really have a consciousness. They're just simply tools to him. What instruments are in Darkstar's band? Um, it's pretty much like a full band set. It's a mix. So she can, well, I'm not going to give away too much because I haven't revealed that yet, but it's what you would think of with any pop band, like the usual instruments for that. You could see some of them on the last trailer that was released, the cinematic trailer. How easy is it to learn to avoid the mannequins? I guess that depends on how observant you are and how fast you kind of adapt to their behavior. I can't tell you what their behaviors are or how you're going to adapt to them. I have seen some people kind of guess pretty close based on previous Q&A live streams what some of them do, but I haven't revealed like the full list of mannequins, and they have different abilities. So there's going to be some surprises. I know people want to figure it all out, and they've had lots of time to figure it out. But and at some point, it's going to be a mix of them. So you will have to kind of change it up with your power usage and how you kind of evade or get through them. Trust me, you don't want to like brute force your way through them. I'll just put it that way. Is there a cafeteria in Prison Panic? No, there's not. And does Puppet King have a castle or church for him in Holiday Horror? Puppet King, I mean, I'm not going to say where or how it looks, but he has a throne. You know, every king has a throne. So at some point, you may find Puppet King's throne room. May. We'll see. Okay, and then the last one from Leonard is, could some prisoners be enemies in Prison Panic? Um, I wouldn't say they're enemies. It's just more like rivals, forced rivals, put it that way. And how would you describe the relationship between the generals as a team? Competitive. Either aloof or competitive. They're all ambitious, we'll put it that way. The only one maybe I wouldn't say that about is Mama Bear. She just kind of does her own thing. She's probably the most odd of the 4 generals, personality-wise, compared to the other 3. Maybe Puppet King is second. How would you, or sorry, can we expect some Jesus imagery and holiday horror with the Xmas theme? No, the Christmas theme in a holiday horror is definitely not religious in theme or in design. It's more of the very commercial theme of Christmas. It's all about consumption and commercialization and all of that. It's about excess, and that's more of, I think, an American thing. But I'm American, so I grew up in that. That's something I experienced growing up, so I'm very familiar with. It's more of an exaggeration of that and some of the characteristics of that, and that fits kind of well with Puppet King because, uh, materialism is used to control people. It's just another instrument of control. There's many. That's kind of the whole theme of Puppet King is control. Everybody has a master, even if they don't know it, even if they're not aware of it. We're all controlled in some way by something. Our habits, products, things we want, people, rules, and that's kind of Puppet King's domain. That's why a mall was kind of perfect for it. Is that's just another way that we're controlled with like advertising, even buying games is part of that. It controls how you spend your time. So yeah, it all kind of ties together with that. And Doug is definitely a person that was controlled by many things in his life, including his own flaws, which ties in well with that level. So that's one reason for that. Next question is from Chow or CAIO. Okay. Threw in 5 reals. Thank you. Can we expect a moment in chapter 5 where we play as Bierce? Um, I can't say that you play as Bierce, but I have said before, I'm pretty sure I said this in previous live streams, was that Bierce is forced to leave the ballroom at some point. And so she can't play it safe anymore. She has to put some skin in the game with Doug. So whether you get to play with her or whether she accompanies you or whether she's doing her own thing is what you'll find out in chapter 5. Whoops. What happened? Okay, sorry. The stream dropped there. I knew it was going to happen. It kind of dropped. I don't know if you see that on your side, but yeah, it just kind of like crashed. So, hey, we're back. Let me jump to those questions again because it just reset the entire feed. This may happen again. It's the joy of streaming from my location. That's good. If you guys don't see anything on your side, then that's perfect. Then I won't even point it out anymore. I'll just roll with it. Okay, I'm back. Uh, Virtual Man. Is Dark Deception still planned to have a physical version with limited run? Same with Dark Deception and Monsters and Mortals. Yeah, so we are planning a physical version, not with limited run games. We've been talking to some different companies. So we are actually putting out a physical version of House with Lost in Cult, and they're handling that. So if that works out pretty well, we may use Lost in Cult for the physical version of Dark Deception and Super Dark Deception. I've been kind of testing the water with Monsters and Mortals because we have sold a lot of copies of Monsters and Mortals, enough to justify a physical version. It's just I wasn't really sure if the Monsters and Mortals audience or community really wants a physical version. So I put up a poll to get some feedback from fans on Twitter, and it was overwhelmingly positive for a physical version of Monsters and Mortals. So I think we may do something like that, but it would be a very limited run. I don't know how many units that would be, maybe 1,000 to 3,000. And when it's gone, it's gone. And it would have pretty much everything on it. As far as DLC, all the DLC that we're legally able to add. So we'd have to touch base with all of our partners and, go over that legally with them. And if they give us permission and it's all clear, we can add those DLCs either as content on the disc or it just comes with the. I mean, I would like to have all the content on the disc or on the cartridge. So because we are planning a Switch 2 version of Monsters and Mortals um, in the next few months. So yeah, I think we could do that. And Super Dark Deception, obviously, we couldn't do that until it's completely finished with all 3 chapters. Same for the Dark Deception remake. But yeah, I don't want to leave any of our games as digital only. I think it's really important to have a physical version of all games that people can collect and have as keepsakes or collectibles or just as a backup, a physical backup of the game. So, I mean, having a physical copy doesn't protect it forever. There's disk rot. The disk could get lost. It might get destroyed in a move or something, but at least you have it and it can't be taken from you. So I keep a lot of, I have a pretty large physical game collection. So I think that's really important and I fully support that. So I will try to get physical copies made of any game that we make as long as it sells well enough. So I think if any game we make sells over 100,000 units, which is kind of like the, I think like the minimum success level for most indie games. If they cross 100,000 units in sales, then they're considered a pretty big success. And that justifies to do a physical copy. Anything less than that, and it's pretty risky to do a physical copy. So I think all of our games have crossed that threshold already. So we can justify doing a physical copy of all those three games. As far as House 2, House 1 sold really well, so we're pretty sure House 2 will perform well as well, at least well enough to have a physical copy. And then the Bagman's actually interesting because not only are we doing a like a traditional PS5, Xbox physical disc for it, we're also doing a for the old hats, we're doing a Sega Genesis, Sega Mega Drive cartridge where it will actually run on a Sega Mega Drive or a Sega Genesis from like 30 years ago, or one of those retro consoles that pretty much plays everything, the new ones they can put in there, and it will function perfectly as well. So that's going to be our first Sega Genesis, Sega Mega Drive release for physical. I don't know if that'll be our last one, but it's pretty cool to kind of go back and do something retro like that. Let me see, what's the next one? Let's see, Kaya Games says, "Why is Hangry not in Zone One of Mascot Mayhem?" That's because Hangry hasn't really been. He goes downstairs to eat ribs instead of participating. The first zone is kind of Lucky and Penny doing their thing, and then Hangry teams up with Lucky in Zone 2. At least in the original Dark Deception, that's how it was. With Super Dark Deception, Penny kind of continues to appear from there on. So it's all three of them in Hangry's Zone 2, but she just doesn't appear as much as Hangry does. And again, they're all in Zone 3. So Hangry kind of takes a break for Zone 1. He sits that one out, and he's down there eating his ribs in the security room. So you could say he's lazy. It's just he doesn't he prioritizes food over service. CIOW threw in another $5. Thank you. Now that House 2 is close to being released, do you plan to share a Chapter 5 screenshot? Haha. Yes, I'm going to share Chapter 5 screenshots and Chapter Remake or Dark Deception Remake screenshots. I'm just not going to put a timetable on it. But, you know, we have Tokyo Game Show coming up, and traditionally that's when I share things. Big news with Dark Deception. And I think I'm kind of waiting on some things to finalize. I think I should have some interesting news for Tokyo Game Show this year with Dark Deception. Some of it I think is pretty awesome. We'll see if you all agree. And yeah, some screenshots can be shared at that time or around that time or possibly before Halloween. That's just kind of going to come down to our schedule. So we have House 2 coming out. We want to keep the focus on that while that's releasing. We have Piggy Indoors DLC and 2 new game modes coming for Monsters and Mortals. Because of the House 2 release at the end of the month, that's probably going to slide and get pushed into September so that they don't compete with each other. So House 2 will be end of August, and then Piggy Indoors and the 2 modes, which are pretty much, the 2 modes are pretty much done and ready to release now. We're just working out a few bugs with that. And Piggy Indoors probably need another week or so to be completed. So that works out perfectly to be like a mid-September release. And that will be the time for that. We've almost got Super Dark Deception Chapter 2 stabilized. There's still a few minor bugs left. It's been a bug bonanza with that chapter. I don't know why, but we're working through it. Most of the bugs have been finally put to bed. There's just a few minor ones left that we're working out. So I'm hoping by the end of September that we have Super Dark Deception Chapter 2 in a good place so that it's not interfering with Chapter 3 anymore. And then from there, we also have an update coming for Hunted, which is an update to the PvP mode. So the Monsters and Mortals PvP mode is getting a new map, and it's basically a PvP version of the Pillar Chase 2 map. So now that won't just be single player only. You'll also be able to play it in multiplayer. So we're looking at that also on August 29th, I think, end of the month. So House 2 is going to drop on Steam, and we're going to drop the PvP mode of Pillar Chase 2 map in Hunted on Roblox one day later. That's fine because those are two very, very different audiences on different platforms. So they're not going to, interfere or compete with each other at all. So that's a pretty good way to end August. And then the rest of the time is just going to be all Dark Deception. So before the end of the year, you're going to get to see some cool stuff. Yeah. See, Vaxerin. 8 questions. Okay. Let me kind of go. Are they all in a row? Okay, first 3. We'll start with the first 3. And threw in 20. Thank you very much, Vaxerin. Will Dark Deception contain only 3 chapters? If only 3 chapters, then why are you still promoting the last chapter as Chapter 5? If still 5 chapters, then why are you calling the 3 remake updates chapters? That's actually a good question. So we still refer to it as Chapter 5 because that's just how everyone knows it. Everybody knows it as Chapter 5. The remade chapters are not out yet, and nobody's seen a lot of content from that yet, so we don't want to refer to it as Chapter 3 when we've been referring to it as Chapter 5 for, many years, several years now. I think once we drop the first chapter of the remake, then we can kind of change up the naming and the terminology that we're using. But right now, it's a little bit too soon for that. We don't want to confuse people. They won't know which chapter to demand from us. They're saying, where's Chapter 5? If we switch them to Chapter 3, you're going to get a mix, and it's going to be confusing because Super Dark Deception is also 3 chapters. Let me see. Too bad. I just realized the plushies in the background. You can't really see the top row that has the new House 2 plushies on it. But that's okay because, that's another thing we're launching is when House 2 goes out, we're also going to be launching a plushie line from U2's for House. So there's going to be a Melody plushie and a Tabby plushie. And I think I've shown those in a previous live stream, but just in case I haven't, we'll post pictures and videos so that everyone can kind of check those out. They look really good. But back to Vaxerin. Okay, so question 2. Will the instant trigger Teddy explosion death still be in Barely Buried? If so, what mode will the view be in when playing in third-person mode? Yeah, so I mean, if you touch the trigger teddies, they explode or they kill you with a bite or slash. If you get near them, they will start a short detonation countdown where they will explode. And if you're still within the radius, then you die. And yes, that will still be the mechanics, whether you're in first-person mode or in third-person mode. So it's present either way. It's question 3. When Super Dark Deception Chapter 3 releases, will some of Dark Deception Remake's content come to the previous Super Dark Deception chapters? Will Dark Deception 2 be built in UE6? As far as Super Dark Deception Chapter 3 goes, no, we're not going to update or change the previous Super Dark Deception chapters. One, that's really hard to do in pixel games. And two, Super Dark Deception is not a one-to-one copy of Dark Deception. They're very much their own thing. So Super Dark Deception is kind of a mix of the OG Dark Deception design and the remade design. The first two, or you could say the first two chapters, lean more heavily into the original Dark Deception design. You can see that with Torment Therapy. You can see that with Elementary Evil. The sewer, we didn't really change anything, whereas they are heavily modified in the remake. So we wanted to keep kind of the look of the original intact. And Chapter 3 is going to be the same as the remake simply because there never was an OG Chapter 5 to reference. So they, by virtue of being the only content, they're both going to be the same from that point on. But of course, things will still be different because Super Dark Deception is kind of a sillier version of Dark Deception. So cutscenes are going to be modified a little bit. Things are going to be toned down. They may play out in a more humorous way. Super Dark Deception's kind of the comparison I make is that it's kind of like the Lego version of Dark Deception. If you've ever played Lego Star Wars or Lego Batman or something, you know, you can't compare Lego Batman to Arkham Asylum. It's just not the same. Question 4. If Doug could defeat Malak, do you think that Demon God or the Demon God would value Doug's powers and turn into some demon or entity? Who do you think would win in a fight, Puppet King or Vecna? Well, I mean, without giving anything away with Chapter 5, just hypothetically going off of your question, if Doug could defeat Malak and the Demon God were present, oh, sorry, one sec. Thought we're having a little earthquake in here or something. For a minute, some stuff started shaking. Okay, no earthquake, false alarm. Lost my train of thought. No, he would not. He would not value a mortal enough to turn him into a demon. In fact, well, I'm not going to reveal the demon god's views on mortals, but you'll see it in Chapter 5, or if you want to refer to it as Chapter 3 later. And as far as Puppet King and Vecna, I'd put my bet on Puppet King just because I think he has more abilities, and Vecna's ability kind of limits him a bit as far as his ability to attack constantly. I mean, in the show, he's defeated by a group of kids, so I think Puppet King has a pretty good chance. No disrespect to Stranger Things. I love Stranger Things. I'm a huge fan, so I would love it if it was just a draw outcome. But, you know, I got to bet on Puppet King if it comes down to it, if I got to pick one. Ledesmus, 3 and 5, thank you. Now that it finally happened, are you able to tell us what specific bugs and issues prevented Super Dark Deception Chapter 2 from releasing in February 2025? A lot of bugs. I mean, you've seen them since the game came out, and that was the improved version. So I think my programming team just had a lot of difficulty solving certain bugs in the game. And as they tried to improve the game, they created more bugs. And so it became like whack-a-mole with bugs as they're trying to fix them. And I can't explain why it worked out that way, but that's just how it went down. And thankfully, they've kind of put that to a rest, and they're starting to get it under control. It's much more stable now, but that's been their focus for the last 2 months. Yeah, I never expected the bug issue with Super Dark Deception Chapter 2 to last as long as it did, and I hope that never happens again. But sometimes, you know, adversity presents itself whether you want it to or not, and you just have to work through it. There's nothing we can do to change the outcome, but we're taking steps to make sure that never happens with Chapter 3. So, one of the things we're doing on our side now is a complete refactor with the code base in Chapter 2 and 1 to clean it up and make sure that some of the bugs that were created by certain way the way things are structured are it's not an issue in Chapter 3. So I think Chapter 3, because we didn't have these issues in Chapter 1, there was some bugs, but it was quickly kind of fixed within a month or so. Chapter two's problems were unique, so most of our focus has been on just refactoring and making sure that doesn't affect Chapter 3 and that Chapter 2 is in a much better place. So the specific why, I can't tell you because I'm not a programmer. I'm a game designer, an artist, a creator. I do many jobs and I wear many hats, but programming is not one of them. Let's see, Mew Mew Meadows, through and 5. Thank you, Mew Mew. Is the part where Lucky says it's a mad, mad world in Mascot Mayhem a reference to Alice in Wonderland? That's actually a phrase I've heard many times in my life from various movies and TV shows. So it's also, I think, a song from Tears for Fears. So it was more like just a reference to all of those movies and shows that I'd randomly heard variants of that phrase from. It's a mad world. I just made Lucky say it twice because he likes the madness. He would focus on that part of the sentence a bit more. But yeah, Alice in Wonderland is another good example of where that's used. Mew Mew Meadows through another 2. Will there be holograms in Prison Panic? Yeah, there will be some holograms. I did share one from Super Dark Deception Chapter 3 with Dark Star. So you have seen one of the holograms. It's just it's in 2D. The 3D versions obviously look much better, but I think the 2D versions are pretty cool too. So yeah, you'll see some. Let's see, Dark Deception crossover Day by Daylight through and 5. Thank you. Cool name, by the way. If the matron isn't one of Malak's 4 generals, what is her role in his army? No, the matron is not a general. She's simply kind of the caretaker of the Reaper nurses. So the Reaper nurses are the primary enemy of Torment Therapy, and matron is simply their heavy hitter, their backup plan, or you could say the bouncer of the club, since it is like a nightclub. Matron is basically the big bouncer they call when things get out of hand. But she's not a general. Let's see, Real Bagel through and 10. Thank you, Bagel. Question 1. Okay, how was it like working with the Pillar Chase 2 team, and why did you choose Agatha as the playable monster? All right, let me answer that one first. Working with the Pillar Chase 2 team was actually really cool. They're a really fun group. I don't want to say their Discord names because I don't know if those are public. What he goes by on Roblox. I think it's like Ninja Blade. I think that is his Roblox name too. But they're very enthusiastic about their game. They care very much about it, and I can respect that. I always respect that. And they were very excited to do the collab with us, which was really cool. So they put a lot of work and effort into that. I think a lot of people told them that their model for Agatha was the best model in Pillar Chase compared to the others. And they did put a lot of love and care into it. And as far as Agatha, why she was chosen as the playable monster, we didn't choose that. The Pillar Chase 2 team did choose it. So we gave them a list of characters they could choose from. And Agatha's not the only one coming to Pillar Chase 2. I'm not going to reveal the others, but you can probably guess them. There's 3, I believe, possibly 4. So yeah, Agatha is just the first. So if you're worried about her being the only Dark Deception monster in Pillar Chase, she's not. There's 3 more, or 2 or 3 more coming. And I think they're all pretty predictable choices. So I don't think there's going to be any huge surprises. It's just going to be a matter of the order and which ones you would prefer to arrive first. But I've seen Agatha in action, and we recently did a play test with her, and she plays really well. And they are going to create, I think, an elementary evil map for her. So we'll actually match Dark Deception. So I think that's really cool. I love to be involved with asymmetrical horror games. Maybe someday we'll see it in Dead by Daylight. I don't know, but I think Pillar Chase 2 is a really awesome community and it's a great place to start. I kind of answered your question too already. Is she the only Dark Deception character getting added? No, there's going to be more. And question 3, updates when the next book is getting shipped. Okay, so for everyone that pre-ordered, um, I've talked to them previously in Q&As and mentioned that we had some manufacturing delays with the book company, that it kind of slowed things down. And those are still kind of continuing. So apologies to everybody that's waiting. It is going to ship this year. That's what I'm going to tell. That's the promise I'm making to everyone, is that you will get your book this year. You know, way before Christmas. It's not going to be like after Christmas it arrives. I'm pretty confident you'll get it before Halloween. So it's not too much longer. Thank you for all of your patience. Um, it doesn't usually take this long. And I don't think the third volume will take this long next time. So for everyone that's put their orders in and has been patient, thank you very much. And we will have this resolved soon. Another one from Dark Deception Dead by Daylight 5. Thank you very much. Can you reveal a fact about the Red Stalkers that's not too spoilery? Honestly, I've exhausted everything I can say about them without being spoilery. I've already, because I get asked so many questions about the mannequins, as far as like their behavior, their attacks, how many of them are there, the different types, are they the fastest in the game, the movement speed. Yeah, I've answered everything up to this point. I can't. There's nothing else I can reveal. So it's pretty exhausted at this point. So yeah, sorry. There's nothing else to reveal before the game comes out. Let's see. Mike C threw in $4.99. Thank you, Mike. Obvious question from everyone. Uh-oh. When is Dark Deception Enhanced, or the remake part 1, chapters 1 through 3? This fall this fall in 2026. So with anything Dark Deception, I can't give out a release date. Even if it's releasing next week, I can't tell you until next week. That's not saying it's releasing next week. I'm just giving an example. So, and the reason I do that is because I suck at release dates. I think everybody knows that by now. I am terrible with release dates. It's like cursing the game. As soon as I say a release date, it gets delayed, and then it slides more, and then people are like, "Oh, Vince, you lied." And it's like, I'm not lying. It's just there's no way to know for sure until the game's 100% done. Like, I always guess wrong. So I can't give any release date. So fall 2026, I think, is realistic. But I can't guarantee anything because things are always changing. There's a lot of factors. See, Mew Mew Meadows doing another 20. Thank you, Mew Mew. Is it just humans that can enter the Nightmare realms, or are other species able to go there too? And I'm not talking about the anthropomorphic animal characters we already see in the game, but cats, dogs, rabbits, horses, etc. I mean, our focus with Dark Deception and the Nightmare realms are just mortal souls, so humans. As far as if there are any dogs, rabbits, horses, or other animals or anthropomorphic characters that have negative souls, we'll call them, um, they would also wind up there. But I am not depicting their presence in Dark Deception, so you're safe. There's not going to be any evil horses, you know, blindsiding you as you run around the maze. You're okay. If they're there, they're out of your view. They're galloping around the abyss. So as long as you're in those comfortable nightmare mazes, you're safe from evil bunnies and stuff. But future, we do have other Dark Deception games coming. I can always address that later. See, Virtual Man threw in 10. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate Lucky and Darkstar's poor relationship? Uh, yeah, it's pretty much train wreck level. I would give it a 10. Like well, you'll see, but they really don't get along at all. And I think only Malak's presence really keeps them uh, from resorting to violence with each other. So yeah, they do. You put 1 being they just don't really care, and 10 being they absolutely want to destroy each other. Yeah, I would say they absolutely want to destroy each other. They're not friends. They're kind of like coworkers that hate each other. We'll put it that way. Mr. MF06, do Darkstar and Puppet King have kill shots? Have you ever seen Shark Fan's 50 versus 1 Manor video? No, I haven't. Sounds interesting, though. Will the original characters in Hunted have new voice actors? Well, let me start with the Darkstar and Puppet King question as far as kill shots. I mean, in Monsters and Mortals, you could say something like kill shots, but in Dark Deception, everything's a kill shot. It's all one-hit kill. So if you mean like a projectile attack, Puppet King, yes. Darkstar, no, I would just say Puppet King. And as far as original characters in Hunted having new voice actors, yes. So our first original map for Hunted, which I've already discussed, is the Phantom of the Opera themed map. So we are designing original characters for that are actual characters from the Nightmare Realms. So they will actually be part of the lore. And they will use new voice actors. So since it gets a little dicey because Hunted is a SAG project just by virtue of using the original Dark Deception voice actors. They're all SAG-AFTRA, which means they're union. So one of the requirements of that is if we want to use those professional voice actors that are really amazing voices and they're all union, then the project becomes union. And that means that we can't hire anyone to that project that's not union, which becomes expensive. So we can reuse existing voice actors and just have them perform a different voice and kind of keep it to the existing cast, or we could cast somebody completely new, but they have to be union. The plus side of that is that whoever we get is likely going to be very talented, and you'll probably know them from some of their previous work. So we could get somebody well known. It's a little pricey, but it's not like unreasonable. So I think that's cool because it will make that level feel as high quality as the existing Dark Deception levels as far as the voice acting ability goes. Who we're going to use for that, I don't know. We haven't done an audition for it yet, but we can use like just we can't do like a casting call on Twitter. Like we have to do it professionally through agencies and different things. But I think it'll be interesting to kind of see who we get in. Every time we do a casting call, we get some really amazing names and people that I recognize from other games, depending on the character and what their specs are. So, and it's always fun to design new characters. So I think that'll be fun to kind of finally draw out some new characters. I haven't done that in a while. Mr. MF06 threw in another 25. Thank you, MF. And next question is, will we get a voice reveal for the Star Army since they don't spoil anything? They don't really have a voice, like a speaking voice. Their voice is more like a sound effect like you might hear in something like a Zelda game or a Nintendo game where they, like Animal Crossing, that's a perfect example, where they're kind of like, it's just like gibberish. So the Star Army kind of speaks in their own form of gibberish. So there's not really like a voice reveal for them. What is the boss for Barely Buried in Monsters and Mortals? Um, we haven't decided that yet, but obviously it would just be the mutated or the abomination mutated form of Mama Bear. And what is your personal favorite Persona game? Uh, I think for a long time it was Persona 4. And I didn't like Persona 5 as much when it first came out, but then Persona 5 just grew on me more and more over the years, and now it's my favorite easily. So yeah, Persona 5. Let's see, Logan Watchorn, 5 through and 5. Thank you very much, Logan. Will Dark Deception chapters 1 through 5 come out for Switch 2 around the same time as PS5 and computers? That all depends on Nintendo. Nintendo is always the big question mark. We never know what they're going to do and when they're going to greenlight us on things. They are very difficult right now. I don't know if they're going to be difficult when we start porting for consoles for Chapter 5 or whatever you want to call it, Chapter 3 later. I hope not, but right now they're being very difficult about letting us put our games on Switch 2. They're very easy to get it onto Switch 1, but the problem is Switch 1 can't really handle UE5 games well. So it's not an ideal platform or hardware for any of our games since Monsters Immortals is UE5 now and Dark Deception is UE5. The only thing it can really handle is Super Dark Deception, and that's already out on Switch, so they won't let us release it on Switch 2 also. So they just keep putting up brick walls to block us, and we'll see if they kind of back off that mentality later. But we're doing our best. It's just Nintendo's not very cooperative right now. Mr. MF06 threw another 25. Thank you for your multiple contributions. With the original levels for Hunted, doesn't that mean we get Spider Pig Cop or the Vulture back? Anything planned for the 10th anniversary of Dark Deception? Wow, has it been? Oh, 10th anniversary. You scared me. I was like, wait. So I was like, is it this year? Is it 10th anniversary? I was like, it's not that old. 2 more years, like 2028, it is the 10th anniversary. So yeah, we'll have to do something big, I guess. God, I hope everything's out by then. So then we'll have something we can really celebrate. As far as the original levels for Hunted, we're going to make new characters. We don't want to dig back into those old ones. That's not to say we'll never put Pig Cop in. And we did use Pig Cop in the, to a degree, we used him in the Malak Archives, Volume 1. It's in one of the stories. There's a reference to it, but it's just presented in a different manner. So we did kind of recycle Spider Pig a bit. Vulture, that one's a little weird because it's a little Gestapo looking. I'm not sure if we want to bring back the Vulture. I'd prefer to come up with new original designs. There was a reason those ones were cut in the beginning. It's because I didn't like them as much, and they felt kind of forced in. And I don't want to force in character designs that aren't up to snuff or just don't fit well with the world. I think I can do a lot better, and just based on my experience and how far I've come since then, I would like to just do new designs, new characters that are even better than those ones, so you don't feel too bad about losing Spider Pig and the Vulture. Let's see, Cucumber Salad. Will Mama Bear talk to others in Chapter 5? Yeah, Mama Bear will be there, and you'll hear her interact with some of the other characters. Let's see, Sharko. In Monsters and Mortals, some DLCs deleted will come back, except Yandere. No, they're not. Those are not deleted. They're just removed from the store because their license ended. So some of the IP that we license, it's licensed with a time limit. And that's a very strict rule set by the company we're licensing from. So for example, Silent Hill. They gave us the Silent Hill license for a year, which was very reasonable given the how popular that IP is. And then they have the option to renew it after the year expires. They were very generous to us and renewed it twice. So we had the Silent Hill license for 3 years. I think it wound up being more like 4 years before we finally removed it. And that's just the end of it. That was the run. So people had plenty of time to buy it. And even though it's removed, if you bought it, you still own it forever. So you don't lose the DLC. It's not removed from your library. You own it forever. So yeah, that's why if we do any licensed IP for Monsters and Mortals, get it while you can, because once it's gone, it's gone. I can't bring it back later. So when it's on sale, just get it, and then you have it, and you'll have it forever. And then the Yandere one is the only one that was removed for reasons other than a license expiring. The ones that expired were House of Ashes, but they only expired on PC. They still have some time left on consoles, which is all going to expire in May 2027. So if you're still sitting on the fence for some of these DLCs, just get them. Get them when they're on sale and half off or 60% off or whatever. Because, yeah, in what, 8 more months, they're going to be gone. Poppy Playtime will expire. House of Ashes will expire. So those two will be gone. And they're not coming back. But that's the good thing is that we replaced them with new content. So they're being replaced by Piggy and Doors. And we have other DLC coming after that in the future. So there will always be a good selection of DLC. And we're working on getting more permanent guest DLC, ones that don't get removed. But for anything that's like a popular IP, it always has a time limit. Even Dead by Daylight can't avoid that. They have to keep renewing it. Capybara Gamer threw in 5 reals. Thank you, Capybara. Hey, Vince. Will Dark Deception ever get levels that'll get a different layout every run, like a roguelike? No, we don't do the procedurally generated mazes. We did that in the beginning, and it's just too gimmicky, and we didn't like it. And we preferred letting people learn the mazes and know where everything is, and just focus on getting good at it and improving their skill rather than keep changing the layout. It's harder to get attached to the level if it keeps changing. Will Fear Fortress final boss change if you have all S ranks? It doesn't change the final boss. It just changes how the level plays out and the outcome. And also the length of the level. Okay, Mr. MF06 threw in another 25. Thank you again. Are we going to get any new boss OSTs for the Chapter 4 maps and Monsters and Mortals? Will we get more skin packs for Monsters and Mortals? What are Lucky's thoughts on the Banana Split movie? As far as getting any new boss OSTs for Chapter 4 maps in Monsters and Mortals, we haven't added those yet. So as far as boss time, I think each of those levels has enough music tracks that we can just use one of the existing tracks as the boss time track. I don't think we need to create anything new for that because that will just take more time. As far as new skin packs, yes, we're already working on a couple right now. So those are in progress. I don't know if they will come out this year, but they should. I think we could release them around November or December. So those are already kind of in progress in the background. As far as Lucky's thoughts on the Banana Split movie, they're in different universes. I don't think Lucky would care. He'd only care if the Banana Split characters were coming into his world, interfering with his agenda. Then they would just be targets. Maybe we should add them to Monsters and Mortals. Too bad they don't have a Banana Split game. We don't add movies to Monsters and Mortals. We only add game IP. So if there was a Banana Split game, we could add them in. See, Capybara threw in 10 more. Thank you, Cappy. And start with the first one. First question. It's 2 questions. Yeah, 2. Sorry, what is this? I think that's enhanced. Okay, will Remake Part 1 come on PC and consoles at the same time? Yes, that's the plan. If not, how big will the time gap be between Part 1 and 2? No, they will come at the same time. That's the plan, is to have everything launch simultaneously for Dark Deception's remake. And as far as the time gap between 1 and 2, hopefully not too long, but I can't give like an accurate estimation for that. There's always problems that will pop up, or issues or challenges, difficulties that can easily delay things a month or two. So ideally, super optimistic, I would hope like less than 6 month gap. But there's always the possibility it could be longer, or it could be less if things go better than I'm expecting. And which weekday will Chapter 5 launch? I can't answer that one. I gotta give you the. You'll see when that time comes. We'll all see. And as far as the second question, will the chapter system be completely removed from the game marketing? Will Chapter 5 add how many new tablet, or sorry, how many new tablet powers will Chapter 5 add? And it got confusing after so many Q&As. Oh, it's going to get more confusing. We've got more Q&As to get through. As far as the chapter system being completely removed from the game marketing, it'll still be in there, but it'll be changed. So instead of saying 5 chapters, it'll say 3 chapters. PC, it has to say the same 5 chapters because we've already sold it that way. So that's one reason why, and that will get confusing, why Chapter 5 will remain in our vocabulary for Dark Deception is because of Steam. Because we've already sold chapters 1 through 4, we have to put a Chapter 5 and just update those builds for each chapter. We could do a new SKU that has only 3 chapters, but then that's going to be confusing to people that access the store. So we're not going to do that. It doesn't make any sense. So Steam players will have 5 chapters, console players will have 3, but it's all the same game. It's just broken up differently, but everybody has exactly the same game. Capybara Gamers, sorry, no, that was the last one. Vaxerin, 3 and 5. Again, thank you. This is question 5 out of 8. Will we see some mannequins jump off the display stands to give chase? All right, you're getting into specifics now. I can't answer those. Will Zone 3 of Holiday Horror have an open sky like the office area? Which office area? Have an open sky like the office area. The only office area I can think of is Mascot Horror or Mascot Mayhem, and that's all sealed. There's no open sky. So no. Capybara Gamer threw in another 5. Okay, third question. When can we expect some Enhanced Plus or the remake teasers? That's a you'll see response for that one. It's just when they're ready and we're ready to show them. Would you add dubbing to other languages in future games? We actually are going to do 2 additional voice languages for Dark Deception now. So those 2 languages will be Japanese and Chinese. So we are going to do Japanese and Chinese voice actors. So you will be able to go into settings and set English, Japanese, or Chinese as the voice talent. Primarily because Japan is a focus and it's easy for us to hire a cast there. And being in Taiwan, I have access to a lot of very talented Chinese voice talent. So it makes sense for us. Asia is a big market for Dark Deception, so we want to support the 2 most requested languages. We can't do that for every language. It's expensive, so apologies to our fans in Europe. It's just going to be subtitles for that. But yeah, I think it's great to even have 2 additional options. It was originally only going to be English, which doesn't help anyone. At least now there's 3 languages, and then we have full language support and subtitles, so everyone can understand what's going on. Um, and then the second part of this is, will Fear Fortress with no S ranks still have 3 zones and 2 bosses? I can't name the number of bosses to you, or how many zones. It depends on whether you have S rank or not, how many of those you encounter. So it does change based on your progress in the game and how much you've discovered and completed. So yeah, that's another you'll see kind of response. See, Bonbon Fazbear threw in 5 reals. Thank you, Bonbon. Do the nightmares collapse when you collect the ring piece in Dark Deception? Yeah. So when you take the ring piece, that's when things start to kind of fall apart and collapse in on itself. When you escape with it, when you take the ring piece out of the nightmare, is when it fully collapses. And that's why the escapes are always a little bit more frantic. It's kind of like the kid gloves are off point of the encounter. Mr. MF06 threw an 8010. Thank you very much. Can you show us the Steam card art for Dark Deception? There is no Steam card art for Dark Deception, unless you're talking about the old ones that got rejected. Simply because we put the first chapter for free, Steam won't let us have Steam cards. Because free content is not allowed to have Steam cards. So I think the old Steam cards are nothing impressive. I think it was just like the original face art. So it's kind of ugly to even begin with. We wouldn't ship those now. Like, those are really old, from like 2019. The Crystal Staley. Hey, Vince, job question. Did you get my emails, and is there any news updates about the job opportunity for to work alongside Glowstick Entertainment? So I can't answer anything job related here in the live stream. Obviously, that's like something we would have to talk about privately. So the thing I can give you, the feedback I can give you is, if you apply for a job, like, you can request clarification, but you need to wait until they can get back to you about the job. There may not be position open for the one that you're seeking. Usually we post all of our jobs. If you go to LinkedIn or our Twitter, jobs that we're actually hiring for will be posted there. And we will usually accept applications for it. Like ones that I've been hiring for recently are environment artists, programmers, composers. I think what else I've kind of posted recently? Animators. So if you're one of those skill positions, and if you apply to one of our postings on LinkedIn or in Twitter, and if you are a candidate to get hired, we will respond. So if for some reason you don't get a response, it probably means you're not a candidate, or we've already filled the positions. Sometimes we go through and we get like somebody really good right away, and it fills the position right away. So the job posting is pretty much closed. And we don't always have the chance to post that and say that the position is closed. But that's the advice I would give. If you just want to have your portfolio reviewed, that's different than if you're seeking a job opportunity. So whatever your specific position is that you're looking for, I would recommend just wait until, if you want to work with us, wait until that specific job is advertised. That means we have an opening. And if you don't hear from us, ask for a portfolio review. Capybara Gamer threw in another 5 reals. Thank you, Capybara. Why were hunted assets, MB picture, and some Roblox thumbnails AI generated? Will the Mimic and the Intruder be coming to Hunted? What about Doors and Piggy? Okay, first question. Hunted assets, MB picture. Okay, so they use a contractor for, actually they use a couple contractors for Hunted. That's all done through Exclusable. So I think one of the artists had used AI and didn't tell them. and then it was pointed out and they changed it. Some of the other assets, I think they did a mix of AI and painting over it. It's like a matte painting. So for those thumbnail images, some of their, if it's like pure AI, they will get rid of it and replace it with one that's hand painted. I've told them to lay off the AI because they weren't really checking for that. And I think they didn't recognize what the AI art looked like. So if they want to use AI to set up a perspective as a reference, so like, it's really hard to generate what a perspective looks like for like a hallway angle or something. If they wanted to generate AI to quickly have that perspective and then paint over that their own original art, that's fine. Then it's only being used as a reference, like a visual reference, but it can't be in the art. So when you have an external company managing your game and they're using contractors, that's bound to happen. It's really hard to see what some of these artists are doing in the background. And if you don't know what to look for, it's easy to let it slip by. And that's happened to a few game companies I see. So I will say right away that I don't hate AI like a lot of people do. I'm not trained to hate AI. I think AI has a use and it should only be used as a reference or a support, not as content, not as like art, anything creative. But for things that fix the game, like QA, trying to think some other areas, rigging, highly technical things that have human error a lot. Like that will help games launch and not be completely bug ridden and broken like Cyberpunk or Super Dark Deception Chapter 2. Then I'm all for that. AI helping games launch in a clean state, but not on the art side. So if you've ever done matte painting in the past, which I've done a lot of matte painting at VFX studios in my career, working for Third Floor and a couple other companies, you go out and you take a photo or you videotape something and then you just paint over that. So at the end, you think somebody did this painting, but it's actually like a photo reference, just painted over. I think AI could be used that way to where not to paint over, but to use it as a perspective setup to get the angles and lines right so that it looks realistic. We've been using stuff like that on the concept side forever, just various tools to accomplish that exact effect. So that would just be a much faster way to do it. Um, but I understand like the AI discussion online is very sensitive and people get really emotional about it. And I see where kind of both sides are coming from. I see a lot of the AI bros and the anti-AI people who are just like no anti or like no AI ever for anything. And it's just not going to work out that way. AI is going to stick around in some way. I think what people can do is prevent it from taking over the creative side or the coding side. It should always be a support, not a focus. It can help programmers write much cleaner code. It can help artists and it can help quality assurance. So I'm more of like a middle road person. Like I have a more of a middle road view on AI. I don't see it as pure evil. I see it as like it's all in how you use it. But yeah, that was not intentional as far as the thumbnails, and they were removed once people pointed them out. And I've already instructed Exclusable not to have AI in the art. So they are checking for it now. Because I think I've had a few people, there's always one person that chases that really hard when it pops up. And I don't want to give people like a lame reason to hate Hunted, like, oh, you used an AI thumbnail, so your game's trash. Like, come on. When we catch it, we'll remove it and we'll fix it. But some people are just obsessed with that. I can't get on board with that. I just don't think that fanatically about things. As far as will the mimic and the intruder be coming to Hunted? Um, no, because it's really hard to. I assume you're talking about Secret of the Mimic in the FNAF universe. As far as I know, it's really hard to get a license with FNAF for anything. Dead by Daylight did it, but it took like how many years to get that? And I think they're going to do a crossover. But it seems like their focus is multiplayer games. So maybe at some point they might, like Scott might be okay with it. I think last time I asked him, his response to me was not right now. He didn't say no. He just said kind of not right now. And I respect that. That's his IP. That's his baby. He can do what he wants with it. And I think if we ever bring FNAF to Hunted, we had Poppy playtime in Monsters and Mortals, so I don't feel like we couldn't get FNAF. It just it probably needs bigger numbers. I think we're doing really well in Hunted. In fact, it's really close to 150 million now, and it's probably going to hit 200 million some point early next year. So, or by mid next year. So Hunted continues to grow. It's getting pretty popular on Roblox, and Roblox keeps featuring and supporting it, which is amazing. So as it grows in popularity, I think it's realistic that we could get better IP as guests. But that all comes down to the support. So hopefully, I mean, I think it'd be cool to bring in FNAF or some of the other popular mascot horror IP. And as far as Doors and Piggy goes, I have brought it up with Splash and MiniToon, and they both seem open to it, but we haven't really pushed it because we're already doing Monsters and Mortals together. And if we did that like right now at the same time, it would kind of cannibalize that. So I think what's really important to Splash and MiniToon is to find an audience outside of Roblox. So pitching something that's, inside Roblox wouldn't be as special to them, I think. I could be wrong. I don't want to put words in their mouth. They may be very open to it. I just think they're much more excited about Monsters and Mortals and being in a multiplayer game outside of the Roblox platform. That's just my opinion. That's not like I'm speaking for them. It's not. Mr. MF06 threw in 10 again. Thank you. Last donation, but thank you for all the donations. DD dating game. Let us date Darkstar. Oh, God. This is like the Dead by Daylight dating game. I could see that as a mini game in Super Dark Deception. Maybe for Chapter 3, we could do a dating game, mini game. That would be where it kind of fits. I couldn't do it as a standalone game, but I could do it as a mini game. You get to date one of the 4 generals. Vaxerin threw in another 5, but the message got retracted, so I hope you post that somewhere else. But thank you again. Unicat Ninjas is back. Oh, hey, Unicat. 5, thank you very much. You're throwing your hardballs at me right away. Delayed Q&A again. That's it. I'm going to marry that Malak guy from SpongeJob. Even though he ain't even exist. Oh, never mind. Here he comes, lads. Blah, 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 blah. I can't read that last part. Just a bunch of letters squished together. I see you're awake. Welcome. Capybara. Oh, wait. That's a... Oh, that's a member message. Okay. Sorry, I'll read it anyway. Have you ever heard of Putty? No, I haven't. Is it part of Chapter 5? No, because I haven't heard of it. Argo. Is the Dark Deception fan game charity stream still happening? I had discussed that before and said maybe around Halloween. I would like to do it if I can free up enough time. I think Halloween is a really good time to do a stream for charity for just to play a bunch of horror games. That would be pretty cool. Not just Dark Deception fan games, Actually, you know what? I haven't really seen a ton of Dark Deception fan games this year. It's been pretty light. Um, the big ones, the mainstays that I've seen from the last 2 years are still there. They're still improving the game and adding new content, but there haven't been any new Dark Deception fan games. So I'll have to dig. Maybe they're just not getting mentioned to me from the community. If you guys, Dark Deception community, if you know any fan games, definitely start shouting them at me. We're getting close to the end of the year with Halloween and the holiday video, so I'm going to need to know if anybody made anything interesting this year. Maybe I'm just not aware of it. So you can help me out. If there's not enough Dark Deception fan games to do a stream, then I can just play, a bunch of indie horror games that look interesting that are new. There's a ton of them coming in, and I think in October, and they also have the Steam Next Fest coming up, which will have, like a ton of demos. And then as far as which charity to do, I'll have to kind of dig in and see which ones look like worthy causes at the moment for this year. But yeah, if the games aren't delayed and dragging me down time wise, then I could probably squeeze it in. That'd be a fun thing to do. Take a break. Xplex Max threw in $7.99. Thank you, Xplex. Hey Vance, no question for me this time, but hope you're doing great. I'm okay. It's like 1:30 a.m. here, so I may be a little tired, but I'm doing all right. I have to go to bed to get sleep for the next Dusk Bloods network test. Lol. Wait, Dusk Bloods has a network test? I didn't even know that. I'm still waiting. I've just seen like the recent news and trailers and stuff. Since I'm a From Software fan and I played Elden Ring, and I'm waiting for that one. I hope it runs really well on Switch too. I'll admit though, I never played Bloodborne, and I know this is more of a spiritual successor to Bloodborne. I kind of dabbled in Bloodborne for like the first 10 minutes, but never got through it. I got sucked into Elden Ring and kind of forgot about it. So I got to go back and play Bloodborne at some point before I can get into Dusk Bloods. Let me see. Crystal Stalai. Oh, sorry. I'm like 1:30 a.m. I start reading things wrong. Crystal Eye. I don't know why I'm reading that all as one word. Jeez. Okay, Crystal Eye. If I get the job, would I need to move over to Taiwan or can I work from home? Well, we work all remotely in Glowstick Entertainment, so yeah, you'd be fine wherever you are. We don't make anyone move and relocate. We simply assign them their job and let them work from wherever they are. Moving sucks. Let's see. Facia. Update on the second novel of Malak Archives. Actually, I gave the update earlier, but I can repeat it because some people may have come in late. Well, it's late for me, but I think it's like early morning for a lot of people, so you may have just woken up. The second novel is still going through some manufacturing issues. We're reworking some things for the content of the book, which has led to some reprints, and we're testing some of these reprints, which is slowing things down. So the book is coming this year. I don't want to say this year because that sounds like later. Definitely before Halloween. So in the next 2 months. So it will require a little more patience, and it's much longer than we anticipated, but it is coming. So that will be in your hands soon. Everybody will get it before Christmas when it comes before Halloween. So yeah, just a bit longer. And if we do a third novel of Malak Archives, that'll be next year. I'm not even going to try to get that out this year. I never promised it, so it's okay. Shadow X Acno threw in another 5. What is your opinion about pillar demons in terms of difficulty and intimidation for Fear Fortress? I can't really say much about the pillar demons. I know which ones you're referring to. because I haven't really defined what they are, what they do, or where they appear, other than people have guessed they're in Fear Fortress. I may have confirmed that, but I mean, they could just be normal statues. I think a lot of people assume that they come to life and attack you, and they do have that appearance. Maybe I insinuated that at one point, but I can't really give any information about them. So we'll leave it at that for now. Unicat Ninjas threw in another 10. Krakow67 asks, will the remaster have new achievements? Yes, it will. How is enhanced or the remake process going? It's progressing. What levels are finished? I can't really give a status on completion percentage. Does Holiday Horror or Prison Panic have more enemy types? Or compared to what? Or you just mean, does it have more types than I revealed? Yeah, I would say Prison Panic does, and so does Holiday Horror. I haven't revealed everything. And do Telekinesis and Vanish have unique sounds? Um, we didn't really change the sounds on the original powers, so that's the same. Let's see. Unicat Ninjas through another 2. Why is Nixon and Penn called Agent B and Dollface? That was mainly because in Monsters and Mortals, we don't want to use like real people's names, so we've kind of started using fictional character names, unless they're specifically a licensed content, like the creators with the YouTubers, because we actually license their likeness, so we have a signed contract with them. Vaxerin through in 5. Question number 7 out of 8. Part 1. Will there be 3 trailers for each of the 3 remake chunks? Yeah, each one will have its own trailer. If so, will some of them basically take the position of Chapter 5's trailers? I would say the Chapter 3 trailer and the Chapter 5 trailer are basically the same trailer. Unicat Ninjas through another 2. Will we be getting custom keybinds? For Dark Deception? Yes. You have the ability to set your own keys, yes. Bonbon Fazbear through in 2. Who voices Yai Soul and police officers in Monsters and Mortals? Those are actually voiced by the original Korean voice actors. So as far as the voice actors' names, I can't remember. Even if I could remember, I would probably butcher it, and I can't pronounce it right. So my apologies to the voice actors behind those. And it's been a while, so I can't remember exactly what their names were. But if you look at the Coma series, it's the original voice actors. It's exactly the same as the voice actors for Coma. So you can find their name if you play Coma 2. I would just look at Coma 2 Vicious Sisters because that's who we were using characters from. So it's the same voice cast as that. Let's see. Vaxerin, question number 7 out of 8. Part 2. Which teasers, OSTs, and trailers should we expect before the first chunk of remake releases? You're trying to set a timeline. Clever. I can't name the trailers and stuff leading up to the chapter 1. So I know you want to connect the dots and be like, oh, so it's releasing this date, but we can't. So I think there's a few games. I mean, I would at least say August and September. You know which ones are coming. House 2, Piggy Indoors. Let's see what else is coming in that timeline. It's mainly Monsters and Mortals and House 2. So you'll see all of those and some of the secret announcements coming for Tokyo Game Show. And then as far as what goes after that in October, I can't say. But at least you know what's coming in the next 2 months. Lorian through in 5. When will the Mecha Monkey appear in Chapter 5? And will you bring old telepathy back? No, old telepathy is not coming back. And as far as the Mecha Monkey appearance in Chapter 5, that's the spoilers to when it appears. It's just, I can say it's not in Holiday Horror. You can guess from there which level they appear in, but it's not Holiday Horror. At least I've narrowed the list a little bit. Crystal Eye threw in 20. Thank you, Crystal Eye. I know you said no to the removal of the flashing lights. But there, sorry, tripping on my own words. But could there be a choice button slider in the options menu so people with motion sickness or photosensitive epilepsy could play the game as well? Uh, it's a little bit complicated. I mean, we'd love to add that in, but I'm afraid. Let me see. The game just may not be set up to remove it. That's the main issue. Is the way the game was built. It's not really easy to put that in at this point. And if they did try to force it in, it could create new bugs, which would destabilize the game again. So maybe after we refactor and fix some things, we can look at if that's possible to add into the existing options system. But if we can't, there's just nothing we can do. Our apologies to anyone that suffers from that. We do have a warning at the beginning, so at least we're not blindsiding them. We apologize to anyone that can't play the game because of photosensitivity or the motion sickness. But, you know, if I could program it myself, I would, but it's just not there at the moment. And I don't know, I don't want to say it's something easy to add because that may not be the case. Let's see, Leo is Narrows through in 20. Thank you, Leo. Hey Vince, hey Vince, is it cool if I make a fan-made YouTube channel that focuses on the murder monkeys in Dark Deception, where they go on mischief adventures? I won't make merch, and I show where the characters are from. Yeah, I mean, everybody's able to make fan content as long as it's free, as long as you don't claim ownership of the work, and you don't try to sell unlicensed merchandise. Basically, you don't try to monetize it or say it's yours, your work. Then that's fine. We actually did like a legal video a while back. I did one with some actual lawyers to explain that. Because a lot of people that do fan content get carried away and they start to think they own the content at some point. But if you use an existing IP, it doesn't matter what you do, it's public domain. And you can never own it unless you get an official license. But there's a lot of people, they do fan content and then they say, I own this fan content because I made it, even though it's licensed content. And they start going around bullying, bullying other people not to use their fan work. Like, oh, that's my drawing. You can't use it without my permission. Or that's my video. You're not allowed to take clips from it. But what they don't understand is once they use a licensed IP without permission, it's public domain. Anybody can use your work. It's free. So as long as you're cool with that, then yeah, you can do whatever you want. And because it uses licensed IP, at any point, if it crosses a line, like you put some... Dark Deception is played by kids, so if anybody put like something inappropriate for kids in there, offensive or sexual, or they put something else offensive or inappropriate using our IP, we have the right to shut it down. So just don't do anything that's like, you know, crosses a line. If you're not that type, if that's not you at all, and you're cool and you're just going to make something fun and fun to watch, then yeah, go for it. Let's see, Unicat threw in another 5. Thank you, Unicat and Jess. Wobbly, wiggly, wobbly, wiggy, wobbly, wiggly. He's trying to make me twist my words. I told you it's like 2 a.m. here. Come on, go easy on me. Hugh, whoa. I like how that has 7 likes already. They're enjoying this. Let's see, Lulu Leah threw in 5. Thank you, Lulu. How much content would you say is in the second chapter alone in the remake? Well, I mean, it's bigger than chapters... What is that? It's bigger than 3 and 4. Well, I mean, it's 5 levels, so it's bigger than 2 of the existing chapters. So yeah, it's got more content than 2 of the existing OG Dark Deception chapters. I mean, the first chapter remake is 4 levels, and then I'm sorry, wait, I have that reversed. First one is 5, second one is 4. Ignore me. It's like I said, it's 2 a.m. Stating it backwards. Still good. I mean, 4 levels equals 2 of like Dark Deception Chapter 2 and 3 were 2 levels each, so that's equivalent to those. See, Fernando Miller threw in 10. Thank you, Fernando. For the Piggy community, is the Piggy DLC still going on or is it canceled? No, it's still going on. It's almost finished. We wouldn't cancel it. Recently, there's Piggy drama between MiniToon for what he did. Oh, God, here we go. What now? There's a whole document of what he did, which is pretty bad. I mean, is there a police report? I'm kind of tired of internet drama, to be honest. Like, I can pick any creator out of my hat, including myself, and there's internet drama about them. There's like some document about why they're a horrible person or a terrible person, and any creator I pick, at some point, there's a document about them about why they're horrible. So either everyone's horrible, or people just like to write this stuff. So I don't know what he did, and I hear all these kind of varying things online about what people are guilty of and why they should be canceled because of that. I don't get involved in that. And, they've tried to cancel me 6 times over game delays. Somebody wrote like 100-page Vince's terrible document. I've experienced that myself. So I kind of take it with a grain of salt when I hear these things, unless it involves kids or there's a police report. Like they actually broke a law. But if it's just, rumors and gossip, then I don't get involved in that and I don't judge people on that. If they actually did something terrible, there will be a record. If the record is the internet, trust me, bro, then I can't get into that. So I don't know. I've been working with MiniToon for not directly, but like on and off for about 3 years for this DLC. And he's always been a stand-up guy talking to me. And I think I've heard they try to cancel him twice, and it's always for different things. So I don't know what's going on over there. I don't get into that. He kind of handles his own business, just like I handle mine. And unless I see him, on a new site in handcuffs being led away from his house, then I'm just going to stay out of it. It'll sort itself out. If he's not in jail, it can't be too terrible. That's not to minimize whatever you're trying to point out. It's just saying I don't like to judge people without facts. And writing up a document on the internet is not facts. That's not facts. That's somebody's opinion written as facts. Vaxerin threw in another 5. Thank you, Vaxerin. Do you plan on making the Super Dark Deception franchise a trilogy, like the main Dark Deception franchise? I'm kind of waiting to see how the first Super Dark Deception... I mean, so far the game's profitable. It sold a good number of copies, so theoretically we could do a sequel and do like a 2D version of every Dark Deception game. But it's been a challenge. Like, Super Dark Deception is not easy to make. You've seen that with the second chapter. So we'd have to see if the sales numbers are pretty close to Dark Deception by the end. If they're like pretty close in success, then we could kind of justify it to do another one. Otherwise, it could just be a one-off game, Super Dark Deception, one and done, and it's fun and it's complete. We don't necessarily have to do a 2D version of every Dark Deception game. So we're kind of playing it by ear. It really is the community's choice if they want 3 super dark deception games or just one. The community kind of votes with their dollars in which games they support. So yeah, it just comes down to the fan base. Unicat Ninjas threw in another 5. Thank you, Unicat. King Orange asks, is Prison Panic more overly sci-fi like, or is it only certain aspects? It does have some sci-fi elements, I would say, as far as like technology and stuff, but I wouldn't call it overly sci-fi. Definitely not. Crystal Eye threw in another 5. Thank you, Crystal Eye. The message is more of a private message, so I'm not going to read it out, but thank you for the donation. Let's see. Lulu Ya threw in another 5. Can high-ranking demons kill other high-ranking demons forever in the Dark Realm, or can they only be banished? High-ranking, well, I mean, demons, at least in Dark Deception, I mean, there's always different takes on demons, but the lore in Dark Deception is that the demons are immortal. They can't be killed. They can only be banished, um, destroyed temporarily. They always come back. They always are reborn. So you can't really permanently kill them. At least in the current version of Dark Deception. So as far as the Nightmare Realms goes, that's kind of the lore surrounding demons. So it's more like they can get each other out of their way, and how long they take to recover or regenerate can be significant. It can be thousands of years or 100 years or a different series of time. So it's a good way to remove an obstacle for that's standing in their way. But yeah, it's hard to kill them forever. Not to say that it's impossible, but currently there's not really a method that they know of. But yes, they can also be banished. There's many ways to remove demons, but not many ways to destroy them permanently. Let's see, Shadow X Acno threw in 5. Does Agatha have the potential of becoming the next general? Yeah, actually, Agatha almost is a general. She's a mini general. It's only by nature that she's so childish and has kind of fixated on this role of being Malak's daughter that she's not. Maybe it's a little hard to take her seriously, but she, as far as abilities and power goes, is probably almost equal to the existing 4 generals. Let's see, Autumn Azor threw in 2. Thank you, Autumn. What scrap Dark Deception monster do you wish made it in? Probably none. Actually, there are some other scrapped. I guess there's a couple more scrap designs. They're not really new characters. They're variations of what existing characters could have been, but they are different enough that it's not just a costume variation. It's more like a complete character variation. So I think the worst one is Puppet King. There were some very kind of funny designs for how that could have gone. And I'm not going to share them now. I'll share them later after Chapter 5 goes out. After you've seen Puppet King and experienced him and played through his level, and you fully know his personality and his abilities, then I will show you the abominations that he could have been. And it will be funnier. So I'll wait on those. Darkstar, I think, is not so extreme as Puppet King. And there's not really any other isolated extra characters that got cut besides the Spider Pig and the Vulture. And we've already kind of discussed those 2 to death. So short answer, no. There's not really anything to regret cutting out. And I think we made the right choices in all of the character designs. Whoops. Okay, kind of jumped ahead. Whoa, okay, jumped very far. Let me find. I didn't know we had this many super chats. Okay, I'm back. Wow, that was a pretty big scroll. Let's see, Lulu, yeah. Will there be any potential future collabs in the main Dark Deception beyond just Monsters and Mortals? By the way, Pillar Chase 2 was amazing. How'd you guys come up with such an amazing collab? Um, in the main Dark Deception game, probably not right away because I think Dark Deception doesn't really need uh like guest characters and collabs. I'd rather do DLC that expands the story, like exploring uh Elise and her path through the Nightmare Realms, or a different character in Dark Deception to kind of uncover some of the things that happened outside of Doug's journey. So I think that would be far more interesting than just bringing in some random game as a guest character. It just doesn't fit as well into Dark Deception as it does into Monsters and Mortals or Hunted. I think that fits really well with our multiplayer games. Now, that's not to say that we'll never have it. It just wouldn't be my first focus. And as far as Pillar Chase 2, yeah, I think that worked out really well. I had already heard about Pillar Chase a lot from our fan base. A lot of Pillar Chase fans are Dark Deception fans, and they constantly kind of told me about it. And we were looking for, well, I was looking for a collab exclusively for Roblox for Hunted. And we did check out a couple other IPs first. I think we contacted 99 Nights in the Forest, and that creator wasn't interested. We reached out to Forsaken. It was basically, we just reached out to some of the top 5 or top 10 to start. And then we remembered Pillar Chase, and we were like, well, why don't we check them out? And Exclusable kind of talked to them, and it seemed like there was strong mutual interest, so we just decided to roll with that. And I think they have really cool characters like Valem and some of the other ones we didn't get to. Well, they were kind of redoing their roster because of the licenses and using unlicensed characters. But Valem is kind of their main guy. He's like the mascot of Pillar Chase. So it was really, really cool to be able to use him. So yeah, I think that was a really good one to start with. It fit Hunted really well, and it actually did really great numbers for us. I think it was our most successful level launch for Hunted. So that was really cool to see, and that kind of excites us to do more collabs in Hunted and more levels. See, Autumn Azure 3 and 2. How different is the level Monkey Business now? Um, well, besides the demo, there are some changes from the console demo from what you've seen in the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X or XS version. And that is things that weren't present, like cutscenes. Some of the environment is modified a little bit, but mostly what's in the demo is pretty close to what's going to be in the final for Monkey Business. As far as like some of the bugs that are present in the demo are fixed. So as far as Monkey Business goes, those are the only differences. But that's enough of a difference to make it feel like a much more polished game from the demo. Okay, we've got Unicat Ninjas, and she's throwing another tongue twister at me. 5. Thank you, Unicat. All right, I'm gonna pre-read this so I can kind of warm my mind up a little bit. I don't have any coffee. I think you were trying to say called, but you left out a letter. I said call the police, and they told me to have my house on fire because my friend turned to a donkey flying because he got stabbed by a pin. I don't know what you're having right now, but I'll take some of that. Like I'm running on fumes. You got all the energy in the world right now. Just give me that and like an eyedropper so I can put some of that in my eye and be awake. Warren threw in 5. Thank you, Warren. Hey, Vince. Will the themes for Super Dark Deception Mascot Mayhem Zone 2 get used for base Dark Deception Mascot Mayhem Zone 2? That was actually something we did just for fun with Super Dark Deception with the Bad Rabbit and the Joy Joy Gang raps. We weren't planning to use that for the remake, but now we've been kind of reconsidering it a bit because it seemed a little silly, but I think if we do it in a little bit more of a horror way, slow it down a bit, it might work. We're going to test it out and see if it feels right. If it doesn't, then we won't use it, but we're going to at least give it a try now. Autumn Azure threw another 2. Thank you, Autumn. What monster has the most brutal kill in the game? I'm going to guess you mean Dark Deception. As far as which monster has the most brutal kill, I'm trying to think. There are some brutal ones with the new kills. Honestly, I think some of the most brutal ones are the traps. As far as like watching Doug get mutilated, some of the traps are pretty wicked. Monster kills, I think I remember the Reaper Nurse has some pretty awesome ones. It's been a while since I looked at them. And of course, the Gold Watcher has some brutal ones. So I would, just off the top of my head right now, going off my foggy memory, I would say Gold Watcher for chapter, part 1 at least, the Gold Watcher and well, I guess that's part 2, Reaper Nurse. But I like the traps, personally. It's just my own opinion. Let's see. David threw in 5. Thank you, David. Will we get a hint on where Wicked Ways will take place? Will Puppet King and Darkstar do raps? No. So the raps for Puppet King and Darkstar, no. But, Darkstar sings. So you do get kind of a poppy, like pop princess type thing, or pop star. So you do get some music. But yeah, Puppet King doesn't sing. But he does do music. Surprisingly. Just not singing or rapping. Nothing vocal. And as far as a hint for where Wicked Ways takes place, no, because that's probably one of the most important levels, so I'm gatekeeping that one probably the hardest as far as what happens there. I would just say like that level is the most consequential of the 4. Let's see. Croco threw in 5. Thank you, Croco. Hi, would it be possible for Remaster Chapter 1 to be a Steam beta branch for PC players? It would let people who paid for Chapter 4 keep playing the OG version. For Remaster Chapter 1. Are you talking about the before the remake? No, unfortunately, it's going to be removed. That's kind of why we put up Hunted, is to keep kind of an archive, an existing version of the OG levels in some format. So, yeah, the public beta branch, we can't do that, but we can look at other ways to kind of archive the original Dark Deception. I just don't have any ideas right now, but I've got plenty of time to think about it. But obviously, we can't give it away for free because even if the remake has changed things, that's a game other people had to pay for. So if we suddenly just give it out to free to everyone, it's kind of like disrespectful to them. They had to pay for it. So we'll find some other way to let people still access that. But I don't know what format, in what way. We'll think about it. Autumn Azor threw in another 2. Thank you, Autumn, again. What's your favorite level update? Your least mid? Level update. Oh, you mean for the remake? My favorite would be Torment Therapy. My least favorite would be mm, maybe Stranger's Sewers, just because it didn't change that significantly design wise. And as far as mid, oh, actually, I take that back. Stranger Sewers is more interesting than, more changed than Crazy Carnival. Mid might be like Elementary Evil. I think Elementary has some cool stuff, but most of it stays intact. See, UBF 13 through and 5. Is Bad Rabbit instrumental going to be in the remake? We're still deciding on that. Also, there's a bug on consoles for Monsters, or sorry, Mascot Mayhem, where the door doesn't open after 2 minutes. Oh, yeah, we're aware of that bug and we're already working on a fix for it. So that was reported to us. Maybe you were the one that reported it, maybe. Threw in, let's see, Stars threw in 10. Thank you, Stars. Fun question I have about Malak for roleplay purposes. How do you think he would handle an anomaly? Anomaly as in like Immortal Universe Hopper. Someone may be running from his problems, dare I say. Well, I mean, if Doug is any indication, uh, Malak doesn't like anomalies. He likes predictability and consistency. So he's very by the book. He likes things to be well managed. He has the mentality of a businessman. So anything that interferes with that or appears and introduces chaos into his equation would be dealt with. He would deal with it quickly to try to remove it. So yeah, he wouldn't. It might be a curiosity for him. He would probably attempt to study and toy with it while he's pursuing it, but ultimately he would remove it once his curiosity was sated. Shadow X Acno threw in 10. Thank you, Shadow. Will there be more Chapter 2 achievements for Super Dark Deception to get the platinum? Or is that no longer possible to get 3 platinums for Super Dark Deception and Dark Deception? The limit for platinum trophies are 15, and Super Dark Deception Chapter 2 only has 13. So yeah, they Sony kind of put the kibosh on that original plan to have 3 platinums. Originally, they told us we could do 3 platinums, and then later they changed that. So apparently, they've kind of shifted. It's a point system. So the first chapter could have a certain number of points, the full allotment of points to have trophies, and each trophy is worth a certain number of points. If it's platinum, gold, silver, or bronze. But for the additional chapters, since we've added them basically as free updates, they're not paid DLCs. They're like free updates that simply update the build. You don't have to pay for them. They just get automatically added. They are allowed to have trophies, but not like a full trophy set. And the point total for them is very small. I'm trying to remember the exact number, but I think it's like 500 or something. So you can't really have many trophies, especially gold, because they take a lot of points and platinum. So you can only really have silver and bronze trophies for the DLCs. So it's kind of restricted to that. Unicat Ninjas threw another 5, and she's got another tongue twister. Hold on. Didn't have a donkey phase eating potato chips with my claws looking all crooked, smiling like a cricket. Don't believe it. I'm sick of the allegations. I'm trying to understand that, but I can't. How do you type that so fast? Krakow threw in 10. Thank you, Krakow. Will Trigger Teddy's remote detonate in Dark Deception like in Super Dark Deception? What crazy carnival changes are there without spoiling how easy it is to learn to dodge Red Stalkers? Will we hear Malak's original language? Okay, let me take these one at a time. Will Trigger Teddies remote detonate in Dark Deception like in Super Dark Deception? Um, their behavior in Dark Deception is a little different. It's more similar to the original Dark Deception, so it's more on contact or proximity. So they're different in that way. And as far as Crazy Carnival changes, primarily it's most of the changes are in Zone 2 because Zone 2 was a little bit uninspiring visually. We've just kind of spiced it up a bit. And also the exterior. So it's fleshed out a bit more. Zone 1, I would say, is pretty similar. There's not really much we could do with Zone 1. So most of the changes are in Zone 2 in the exterior. And as far as learning to dodge the red stalkers, that really just comes down to patience and timing. And as far as Malak's original language, his demon tongue, you do hear it in somewhat in chapter 5 with the Fear Fortress and some other parts. I won't say exactly where or how long it lasts or what he says, but you do hear some demonic tongue. Unicat Ninjas has a question from Croco67. She threw in 5. Thank you, Unicat Ninjas. I was like, come on, Vince. It's not that late. Stay strong. Okay. Can Enhanced Plus Part 1 be a Steam branch so PC players can... Oh, okay. This is that question. I think he asked it and then he had you ask it at the same time. So the PC branch, the Steam branch for the original Dark Deception is a no for the beta branch, but we'll look at other ways we can possibly archive that for fans. I just said I don't have any ideas for it yet, but we have plenty of time to kind of figure it out. Krakow646, or sorry, 6456 through N2, thank you. Says, don't worry, Uni, I already asked too late. She got it in. So yeah, it was a double question, but that's all right. Thank you for the support. Adam Azor threw in another 2, thank you. How did you ultimately decide who got in the game? I'm not sure what you're referencing. Which game and what content? Is that for Monsters and Mortals or for Hunted? Since I'm not sure, I'll just address one of them. As far as Monsters and Mortals goes, let me look at your previous question and see if that relates. No, it doesn't. Okay. I mean, if you're talking about Monsters and Mortals, then we simply look at content that our fans like a lot. If any of them are horror games, we will explore if there's a partnership potential, if we could do a guest DLC with them, and if that's something our fans would enjoy. So we don't want to do any more DLCs for Monsters and Mortals that our fans don't know about because they don't support it. So we only want to do ones that basically give your audience what they want. We're looking for stuff that our audience likes. Whereas before we were trying to introduce our audience to new things, we realized that's not the best approach. So we're doing stuff that you guys already like and are familiar with. So expect to see a lot more familiar things. Shadow X Acno threw in 5. Is Deadly Decadence's interior completely different? Yeah. Also, will Elementary Evil's boss be different as well as her escape sequence? The boss fight, not so much. The escape sequence, definitely. Yeah. Crystal Eye 83 through in 5. She says, I'm drawing all the Dark Deception characters in a Sonic style. What animal would you think Agatha would be? Probably a cat. That's like just my first. That's what pops into my head first. Krakow 6456 through in 10. Thank you, Krakow. How has the main menu changed since the last time we saw it? It looked a bit bland compared to the original. To rephrase my question asked by Uni, out of HH and PP, without spoiling, which has the most enemy types? Well, let me answer your first question first. As far as the main menu, since last time, I mean, obviously it's more polished. It was like using temp models and stuff. So it's more polished than before. As far as the style, it's still the same. Um, bland is a preference. So there's some people complaining, saying it looked like a fan game. Some people just don't like that style of UI, but that's a style of UI that's present in AAA games. It's present in indie games. It's used a lot in fan games too. It's not like specifically this is fan games only. I played a recently like Stellar Blade. It has a screen like that in the beginning. That's very common. It's a trope almost. So that style is not going to be changing. It's just more polished. So if anybody, and there's always a camp that doesn't like new changes. They always, whatever it was before, it's not necessarily what was before was better. It's just they don't like the direction we went in or they want something different. We can't please everyone. We'd be torn in half, people pulling us in all different directions. So we're going with that direction. It's more polished than before. We're happy with it and it looks good. So some people aren't going to like that still. We can't help that. The important thing is that it starts your game. It it's functional, and you can access all of your content through it. So I think you'll grow to like it, or at least it's not going to make you want to gouge your eyes out. Unicat and Jess, or sorry, I didn't answer your second part of your question. Let me go back. As far as Holiday Horror and Prison Panic, which one has the most enemy types? Let me count in my head each one. I don't know. Should I count that as an enemy? It's iffy, but I would say Holiday Horror has more enemy types than Prison Panic. But if I really wanted to be equal, I could count a couple things in Prison Panic that aren't necessarily enemies, but they look like them. But it's really close. They could be equal. Unicat and Jess threw in another 5. Thank you, Unicat. Bro, if people can't... Okay, I can't say that one. Appreciate. Okay. Bro, if people can't appreciate your effort when you turn to a dog turkey with bug eyes Googling around, they ain't real fans. I am. I can cook deodorant, so professional. You are truly one of the real fans, Unicat. See. A Bucket threw in 5. Thank you, A Bucket. When you modeled Doom... Excuse me, I'm choking. Okay. When you modeled Doom Ducky, why did you decide to give him 10 right hands? Was it to save time or an intentional design choice? Likely to save time. Because originally Doom Ducky wasn't supposed to come out of that alcove, so I just figured nobody's really going to see perfectly how the hands are. It was just kind of a detail I didn't think anyone would really get a close look at. So yeah, that was a time-saving thing. I was like, one arms is good enough to be all the arms. Why make, 2 arms when I can just make one? And, just rotate it. Krakow6456 through another 5. Thank you, Krakow. Actually, there's two in a row for Krakow, so that's actually 10. Have you seen the SS Escape Cool Cat and I worked on? No, not yet. Could we expect something in the remaster with flooding water and bursting doors? I'd have to look at your video. Is this a... Actually, I think I did see a Twitter post for it, but I didn't have a chance to actually watch it. So I probably want to check that out first before I give you any kind of expectation for whether we're going to do something similar. We kind of already have our own design for the escape in Stranger Sewers as far as what happens when you're escaping. It doesn't have any flooding water. It does have some like wild water, but it doesn't like flood the room. So I don't know if that's what you did. That's pretty cool if you did that with your fan mod or your version of that level. But some of the elements from Super Dark Deception, like the flashing lights, the sirens and stuff, that's all been incorporated to a much higher degree to make it look scarier. So maybe there will be some similarities to what we've done with yours. I have to look and see, but I'll check it out. And then your second one is we need clarification because nobody has a straight answer on this. Will we get a new power going into Holiday Horror after Barely Buried? Yes, you will. So when you go into Holiday Horror, Bierce finally unlocks the Mascot Mayhem ring piece, which she couldn't do before because you were abducted from the ballroom before she could. So yeah, you will have a new power. Let's see, Ratzello threw in 50 sec. Thank you, Ratzello. Hey Vince, what do you think the monsters do when Malak ain't watching? Slack off. And do you think Malak has a room filled with nice things in secret, and so did Spencer? I think what the monsters do when Malak's not watching really relates to their personalities, whether they are intelligent or mindless beasts or demons. Like, I think you can guess what the Joy Joy gang would do when the boss ain't watching versus somebody rigid and by the rules like Puppet King or somebody self-absorbed like Darkstar. They all have their own personality and their own way of uh, avoiding work or acting at work. And as far as Secret Room with nice things, actually, yeah, he does. He has his archive. Uh, I don't know if it has a soda dispenser, but it's got some nice things, at least things that he considers nice in there. Probably, collections of mortal souls. Unicat, what is this? You're making words I can't read. I'm going to go cross-eyed trying to read this. Is that your intention? All right, I'm going to try it. Unicat through in 5. Here we go. I'm going to look oha, joha, wah, 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 wah. I can't say that. The horror friggin' where blobfish, what they thinking, sending me her leave, now running like a bulldog, bruh. That was probably like the worst way anybody could have ever read that. But you typed it, so you get what you get. Let's see, Lulu threw in 10. Thank you again, Lulu. From Alice, what kind of dance style best fits each character's personality, from Bierce and Malak down to generals like Dark Star, Puppet King, Mama Bear, and the Joy Joy Gang? Um, which dance styles? Bierce has more of a ballroom style or a waltz or some of the older dance steps. You actually get to see Bierce perform. Bierce used to be a star, a Hollywood star, an actress. And in chapter 5, you will, whether you want to call it chapter 5 or chapter 3 now, you will get to see Bierce perform. So it's not all talk. She's actually going to show off her skills. And as far as Malak, Malak's more of a metal guy, so at least that's what it says on his Super Dark Deception Steam card. He loves Loves heavy metal. So maybe he's more of a mosh pit headbanging guy. Darkstar, she's queen of pop. Like everything she does is choreographed. Puppet King wouldn't dance. Mama Bear would dance like a mom. And the Joy Joy gang, I don't even want to imagine what kind of dance they would do. What's that? What's that movie recently on Netflix where the guy hunts the girl? Apex. He does that freaky ritual dance before he chases her. I feel like that's what the Joy Joy gang would do. Something like demented, psychotic dance ritual before they kill you. Like it wouldn't be for fun. It would be as a intimidation ritual. Crystal I threw in another 5 donation. Thank you, Crystal. There's a message, but it's also a personal message, so I'm not going to read that here. Croco6456 threw in 5. Thank you, Croco. About the earlier question about a crossover with the Mimic, they referred to the original Roblox horror IP. The Mimic is a very well-known horror. Oh, that's right. Okay. I don't know why I thought of Secret of the Mimic right away, just because that's the one I hear from people the most. But yeah, you're right. I remember there is a Roblox game called The Mimic. Let me just kind of remind myself, what does that look like? Pulling up Roblox right now. Da-da-da. Oh, that looks pretty hardcore. Oh, you know what? I think I did mention this game to Exclusable, and they said they actually work with this person, the creator of the Mimic. So they were saying like it's possible we could do a collab with them. And I think the game is still pretty popular. Yeah, I mean, it's still played by a lot of people. So that's highly possible. I don't know if it's a good fit for Hunted because it looks very mature and realistic, but you know, where there's a will, there's a way. Maybe we could do a partnership with Mimic. I'm I feel like we could make it fit. We just have to change the design a little bit. Is this like a SCP type thing or more of a the Thing type thing, like The Thing, the movie from John Carpenter? I don't know, but it looks cool. It's always possible. It is very well known. Let's see. Vaxerin through another 10. Thank you, Vaxerin. Will Holiday Horror be in Steam? Uh, PC Dark Deception Chapter 5, since it's in Chapter 5's banner and teaser '02. Or will Holiday Horror be with Steam PC DD Chapter 4 when Chapter 4 gets its remake update? And will Dark Deception 2 be built in UE6? So that's actually a good question for Steam PC users. So it will actually be in Chapter 4. So we will update Chapter 4 with Holiday Horror, and the Chapter 5 capsule art will be changed. So it is, we're remaking the capsule art anyway, probably for all chapters. And as far as Dark Deception 2 being built in UE6, maybe. I mean, we're not really thrilled with UE5. So if UE6 is an improvement and it's stable, then we may build the sequel in Unreal Engine 6. Sure. Let's see. Leonard, what does Darkest Star think of Wicked? Is there a lore reason why Puppet King has faces on his armor? Can you say the robots in Prison Panic have laser eyes? How good does Puppet King use his magic in Holiday Horror? All right, so we'll start with the first one. Wicked doesn't exist in Dark Stars in this universe. So some of like real world uh popular like pop culture, she's not going to be focused on or aware of. I'm sure she would like it if she saw it because she loves anything musical. And as far as the lore reason why Puppet King has many faces on his armor, there is a little bit, but it's not really focused on. And as far as saying what the abilities of the robots in Prison Panic are, no, I can't confirm or deny laser eyes. You just have to wait and see. And how good does Puppet King use his magic in holiday horror? He uses it. I can't say like how amazing he is with it. He uses magic. Let's see, DJ Sean through in 5. Thank you, DJ. Can you fix the bug scenes for Super Dark Deception on tables like an intro? Are you able to fix the other bugs from Super Dark Deception that are still there are still more to cover? On tables. I'm not sure what you're referring to. It says on tables like an intro. Well, there are some bugs. Like the latest patch went out, it fixed a lot of things. And we've confirmed that with our fan base. A lot of people said the game's much more stable and they're not having all the problems anymore. There's a few minor bugs still affecting UI. Some areas of barely buried. Some of the other various bugs that have been reported, but it's a small list, much smaller list now. So those minor bugs are being addressed, and we'll put out another smaller patch pretty soon that hopefully will be the final stabilization push for Chapter 2. Let's see. Croco6456 threw in another 5. Thank you, Croco. A really fun new Dark Deception fan game that may have gone under your radar is roguelike called Rogue Deception. It's something I've had fun animating for. Yeah, actually, I know Rogue Deception because we covered it in previous. I think I covered that last year in the holiday video. I haven't seen any updates on that, but I did see that. That was kind of like the fan version of Monsters and Mortals. Oh, that's cool. They put in Super Dark Deception sprites as well. Yeah, I thought that one was very innovative. It looked cool. But I haven't heard much about it this year, and that did get kind of pushed last year. So I'm hoping there's still some new projects this year. Like some people have started something new. I definitely like to show updates to existing games. Unless this game never came out yet, but I think it did. It's out. You can download it. I think it was out last year. So I'm sure there's a lot of new updates and content, but that one already existed. So I'm hoping like there's something that's brand new just this year, like newly introduced this year by from the community. But I haven't seen anything yet. If you've animated for it, then it's a cool fan project to be working on. See, Capivara threw in another 5. Thank you, Cappy. The Mimic is a Roblox game. If you got the FNAF license, would you do a Joy of Creation collab? Will Book 2 have Chapter 5 teasers like Book 1 had? As far as the Mimic, I think Mimic is a high possibility, but with the FNAF license, would I do Joy of Creation or something else? I mean, I'd want to do the main game. I wouldn't want to do like a fanverse game. I would want to do one of the official Five Nights at Freddy's games, either the classic ones or the new ones. So it would just be a matter of which one Scott wanted to license out. Or even maybe one based on the movie. I don't know. I haven't watched FNAF movies yet. But the Hanson Creature Shop had some cool designs for it. So I think they're based on Five Nights at Freddy's 2. or 3. I think it's 2. It says, will book 2 have teasers, chapter 5 teasers like book 1 had? Yeah, actually it does. It does have some teasers, I think, for Prison Panic in it, and I don't know if there's a holiday horror reference. But at the very least, I know there's a Prison Panic reference. Let's see, Leonard threw in 20. Thank you, Leonard. Are the robots like the guards for Prison Panic? Would Puppet King care if someone was laughing at him? Can you give a little info about traps in Prison Panic? Is there food in the cafeteria area in Holiday Horror? If so, how old is it? Yeah, there are robots in Prison Panic that serve as. I mean, you could say that for all of the enemies in Prison Panic, that they serve kind of a prison guard role. And would Puppet King care if somebody was laughing at him? Probably. I think that would infuriate him. But he wouldn't show you that emotion. He would be self contained, but you would definitely feel his wrath. Let's see. Can you give a little info about traps in Prison Panic? Trying to think of any trap that I could talk about. There's a lot of traps in Prison Panic. I can't really mention any because there's so many of them that I can't point out one specifically. You'll understand when you see the level later. There's just a lot. Food in the cafeteria? Yes. As far as can you interact with them? To a degree. And how old is it? Very, very old. I wouldn't eat it. We have a donation from Tuman Alext. And he just threw in 10,000 COP, but thank you. There's no message, but thank you for the support. Krakow threw in another 5 multiple donations. Thank you, Krakow. Was it fun to voice the doctor in the SDD mascot in sequence? Could we see that added in the base game, or because of, SAG rules, is it not possible? Yeah, that was my voice for the doctor, but it was supposed to be just a temporary placeholder until we had another voice actor voice them, but we just ran out of time. And it didn't sound horrible, but I didn't want it to sound like me. So I tried to change it a bit, but it still sounded like me somewhat. And we left it in for Super Dark Deception because that's supposed to sound silly anyway. But I don't know if I'll use it in the remake game. Maybe I will, or maybe I'll get like a real voice actor. Yeah, because it's just minor roles. It's just minor speaking roles anyway. But yeah, there are SAG rules. Anybody that replaces me has to be SAG. So that would get, have an additional cost. So it's probably easier just to leave my voice in, but if it doesn't fit, I'm not going to leave it in. I'm very critical of myself, so it really has to fit well to leave it in. I don't have any kind of ego about that. Oop, got another YouTube scroll. Okay. Zygarde threw in $1, but it got retracted for the message. But thank you for the support. The Ledesmas threw in another 2. Thank you for the multiple contributions. Nice hat, by the way. Thanks for Chapter 3 teaser. Yeah, I like these Mario hats. They're pretty awesome. They had a bunch of them, but this one just kind of grabbed me, so I got one of these. They had a Luigi one too, but I'll go back for Luigi next time. I'll get the Luigi hat. Or if they have a Wario one. I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, more Chapter 3 teasers are coming. Super Dark Deception and, later Dark Deception. And some fun surprises. Potentially some big news for the Dark Deception movie coming up, but I'm not sure if I can talk about it. I'm waiting Waiting to see if they give me permission. I hope, fingers crossed that it's something I can talk about around Tokyo Game Show. Sorry, trying to find my place. Zygarde threw another 5. Thank you, Zygarde. Since Bierce said soul shards are fragments of human spirit, how many soul shards can one soul be broken into? That is a impossible to answer question. It really varies how they are shattered. I mean, they can be really small fragments. Um, Obviously, the ones that become the soul shards in the hallway are a little bit bigger. But I mean, if I'm going to count like every micro fragment of shard that shatters, you've seen like the shard corpse, you can shatter them pretty good. So I'm sure some pieces of soul are lost, but the majority of it just winds up scattered in the hallways as the soul shards. So yeah, one spirit can be broken into quite a few, given the volume of crystal that surrounds their soul. Croco threw another 10. Could the relationship of Malak and the generals be compared to Mother Miranda and the four lords from Resident Evil Village? That's actually a good comparison that I never thought of. But a different dynamic between Mother Miranda and her personality versus Malak's. Like how some don't get along. I could even see PK bargaining with Doug like Heisenberg, Puppet King. So yeah, it very much. Now that I'm thinking about that, I'm a huge Resident Evil Village fan. Maybe I subconsciously channeled that without thinking about it. But yeah, it is a very similar dynamic. Um, I think Malik and Miranda are very different, especially the way Malik treats his employees. He can definitely be just as ruthless as Miranda, but he also can be protective of his underlings. So Malik is a little bit, in my opinion, more likable than Miranda in this kind of dynamic. But yeah, as far as like the petty jealousy and the competitiveness and the alliances, yeah, it's very much like that. Unicat Ninjas through another 2. Wes asks, will repair nurses, or sorry, not repair, Reaper. Reaper nurses have new dance moves. Yeah, they will. You'll also see them in some other levels outside of torment therapy. I think I mentioned before that the Reaper nurses are big fans of Darkstar. Let's see, Leonard Campbell threw in 5. Thank you, Leonard. Does Darkstar have an office of sorts? Um, yeah, you could say that somewhat. What kind of magic does Puppet King have? Wizard magic? It's kind of like that. It's not Harry Potter, but it's like a wizard magic type stuff. Dark magic. Would you watch an iceberg video that talks about dark deception? I'm not familiar with iceberg video. Oh, I see. Okay, I have seen that. I just never watched them. Yeah, I'd watch that. That would be interesting. How deep does it go? See, Lulu Ya threw another 5. Could you give some random fun facts about Bierce and Malak, not Chapter 5 related? Um, trying to think of anything about them that's not Chapter 5 related. Or fun facts. Bierce. I've been thinking about both of them in the context of the Chapter 5 storyline for so long that it's hard for me to like just suddenly think of something wacky about either one of them outside of the book archive, the Malak archives for Malak. Well, I mean, Malak is a connoisseur of sorts and a curator. So besides the Mortal Souls, he does collecting, which is a little bit kitschy for him. But you will kind of discover some of his hobbies a little bit as you roam through Fear Fortress. If you look in the right rooms, some of Malek's guilty pleasures. Um, that is spoilery as far as like a little Easter egg goes. So I'm not going to give that out right now. He likes to smoke cigars. He does that kind of randomly. Bierce Bierce is addicted to shopping. I mean, I think people have already kind of seen that a little bit with holiday horror. Although maybe I never made those quotes public. And that kind of goes back to her time as a starlet. She had terrible spending habits. Um, that's the only thing I can kind of think of right now. I'm sure I'll have more fun facts later. Let's see, Mr. MFO6 threw in another 10. Thank you, Mr. MF. Says, okay, one more donation. Wait, you said last donation was the last donation. When is the next OST? It's funny you asked that. I was actually thinking today that it's been a while since I put an OST up, and we have a lot of them. So I may throw up two some point tomorrow. Maybe tomorrow night I'll throw up two songs to kind of make up for the gap. Because there's actually a lot of music I haven't released yet. And then asking what's next, Dark Deception or Monsters and Mortals? I could do both. So I could release one Dark Deception Chapter 5 track. And then I haven't released any of the music for the Piggy DLC yet. And we have music from Dan for Piggy, so I'm sure the Piggy fans will like that. Um, Especially one's kind of a remix of the TO boss battle music. So yeah, that'd be a good thing to release for both. I'll put out the Piggy DLC music, and then I'll put out some Chapter 5 music. See, Lulu got through another 10. Thank you, Lulu. Does Malak actually bother teaching Agatha anything, or is she totally self-taught? Agatha is totally independent of Malak. She's very needy and clings to him, but he doesn't really, she's self-sufficient. He doesn't really need to prop her up. She just kind of carries on her own and kind of tags along after him. Sometimes to his annoyance. Like maybe she's a little bit too clingy at times. Uh, but he will teach her things, maybe subconsciously, just out of habit. And then you asked, and if he acts like a parent figure, does he do normal stuff like restricting her phone time? No, he doesn't do anything like that. Like you kind of saw demonstrated in the ballroom fight, he will just kind of um not really discipline her, but like shut down her whining, like or correct her, like, oh, can I stab Bierce's face? And he's like, hey, focus. And I'm not now. We need to get what we came for first. You can have your fun later. So he does kind of parent unintentionally that way, where he tries, it's more like he's so used to managing his demons and his army in a very corporate way that he also manages Agatha. He just manages her in a very parental way, if that makes sense. But it's basically the same tool set he uses with everybody else, just applied in a more fatherly way. And I think for both of them, it's kind of a game. Leonard threw in 10. Can you tell us a little what Dark Star thinks of Puppet King? Do mannequins represent limbo? How many items are in the mall? That's a big question. Like the shops, like would there be a lot if the mall was in business? Okay. What does Darkstar think of Puppet King? She doesn't. I think Darkstar finds Puppet King a little bit um, suffocating, for lack of a better term. Like he's not relaxed enough for her, like too serious. So he's kind of like the killjoy for her fun and her energy. So he kind of sucks the energy out of her with his demeanor, the way he carries himself and his grandiose nature. So I don't think she hates him the way she hates Lucky, but um, they get along as far as coworker. Like she sees him very professional. So I haven't really developed any strong feelings for Darkstar towards Puppet King of hatred or respect. It would probably fall more on respect, but with some caveats. Like she feels maybe she feels sorry for him the way he is. And as far as the mannequins representing Limbo, no, they're just instruments for Puppet King. And how many items are at the mall? There's actually a lot. There's a lot of stores. And you do get to go into a store. There's one store in particular that is very worth finding and going into. Let's see. Bentley Banks threw in $1, but there's no message. Thank you, Bentley. Unicat Ninjas. Oh, you got another tongue twister. They're in 10. Thank you, Unicat. People think I'm crazy, but I have every right. I act normal for gonna go past that. But beyond closed doors, I reveal my energy. My face gets flat. Y'all come psychotic, bro. I think I got 75% of that. I'm deteriorating. Let's see. Lulu threw in another 10. Thank you, Lulu. Just wanted to say most questions I asked her from Allison Hunted server. Okay. She and her sister make amazing fan art for Dark Deception. Oh, maybe I've seen it. Um, just wanted to give them a shout. Sleep well, Vince. Thank you. Well, that's cool. I'll have to check it out. I wonder if I've seen their art yet. But if it's in the Hunted server, that's probably why I haven't seen it. The only time I go into the Hunted server is basically to make announcements. Otherwise, I let Exclusable manage that on my behalf, and they do a really good job of it. So I'm sure they know your. I'm pretty sure they probably know Alice and her sister if they're putting up amazing fan art in the server. So yeah, if she ever goes to Twitter and she wants to post it there too, then I'll probably see it a lot better. But thank you. I hope I sleep well tonight. We'll see. Bentley Banks threw in another 2. Is Doors coming this month for August? Probably not. I think the Piggy and the Doors DLC, because we're launching House and the Hunted PvP map on August 28th and 29th. We don't want anything to really compete with those. And Doors and Piggy probably need another week of work on the maps. You've seen the maps so far for Piggy. I haven't shown Doors yet. They're looking really good. They're awesome maps. They need a little bit more love to be fully polished with the lighting and also with some of the first person animations for the characters. So I think there's no rush. We've already kind of, taken this long. We're very close to the finish line, and we don't really have anything ready to release in September. So it's perfect to put those in September where we don't have anything to release and let House 2 have its moment for August without competition. Let's see. Bentley Banks threw another 2. Thank you, Bentley. Leonard Campbell threw another 5. Does Darkstar at least feed her prisoners? Are the prisoners like ghosts, morals, or something else? Well, I mean, these are mortal souls. They don't really need to eat, so she doesn't feed them. But she does give them yard time. At least she lets them, have a little bit of freedom, stretch their legs. Let's see. Randon Timberwolf, through and five. Thank you. Joke question. How many of the monsters are here to be gay and do crime? Uh, well, I mean, I don't really push anything like that in Dark Deception, but doing crime, I mean, they all wound up in hell for some reason. They're all demons, so they're not virtuous. So they're not. There's no society to do crime down there, but they are there to do the bidding of demons, and the bidding of demons is never good. So they're just there to harvest mortal souls and do evil things in various ways to different souls. At least they give them a choice based on which sin dominated their life, how they want to suffer eternally in the nightmare realms. Let's see. Ratzello threw in 50 sec. I tried to do. Oops, sorry. I tried to model Doom Ducky in 21. It never got finished, so I used the hand I made for another chair named CJ. And then I planned to use him for a Slender Tubbies game. Sorry, I got to reread this. I thought I was that was almost like a Unicat line. Let me, or I may be just like scrambled brain right now reading this incorrectly. Oh, so you moves. Okay, sorry. Oh wow, fading fast. So you made I don't know what 21 you're referring to. It says never got finished. So use the hand for made for another character named CJ and then find him uses. So did you ever use it in the Slender Tubbies game, or you just planned to and didn't? Is that something you're still gonna do? At least you got the arm done. That's like small victory, right? I don't know if you're putting it into a Slender Tubbies game though. I actually never played the original Slender Tubbies, but I watched some videos on it. There's still a lot of people that remember that game. Surprisingly, I was surprised how many people still remember that. Let's see, Tuman threw in 10,000 COP. Thank you. Please, I'm new in Q&A. Sorry if you can't answer this. Can you give me a clue about when is Chapter 5 coming, please? Like the year or something. You're new, so I will forgive you for that question. It's basically anything with Chapter 5 or Dark Deception as far as like the year, the month, the day, which games are coming out before it. Um, if it's going to be on a sunny day or a rainy day, I can't tell anything. It's always you'll see. So don't feel bad. You're not the first to ask that. You won't be the last. It's just I get it, but it's definitely a you'll see response question. So you'll know when I know. Bentley Banks threw another five. Thank you, Bentley. Will Malak chase us a lot in Holiday Horror, Prison Panic, and Wicked Ways for the boss fights? Yeah, I think he probably chases you the most in Fear Fortress. Definitely Fear Fortress. Unicat and Jess threw in five. Says, can Lucky learn to make food goods so JJL stops smelling of burnt crud and armpit donkey sweat from him turning to sponge garbob? That's the best I could do with that last one. Sponge garbob. No, Lucky doesn't cook. Let's see. Oh, what the heck? Okay, I got another skip. Let's see, Crystal. Crystal threw another four. Thank you, Crystal. What animal would the Gold Watchers and Malak be? Gold Watchers. For their size and strength, I'd probably go with like an ox or something. And then Malak, he's got to be like like the devil's goat. That evil looking version of goat. That way it would fit his silhouette and still kind of look similar. Mitchell Flowers threw in 2. Will Dark Deception PS5 demo progress transfer to Chapter 1 launch? No, they're completely separate, not related at all. So if you got S rank in the demo, you got to just redo it from scratch with the new game because, yeah, no save data from the demo transfers over. Unicat Ninjas threw in 10. Are you making these longer? It's like 2 lines now. What are you trying to do to me? Was practicing guitar when my neighbor broke in and threw ramen on me because it sounded off and was putting on lipstick, getting his beauty sleep, bro. Now I'm burnt dead typing this. I'm just imagining you typing this stuff out. Like how fast you typing, like a machine gun with your fingers, like. It'd be even funnier if you're shouting it out while you type it. Just my opinion. Unicat Ninjas threw another 2. $2. Here you go. Thank you. Threw another 2. Will Malak be less whiny in Chapter 5 and enhanced? Oh no, he only becomes more whiny. More whiny, more authoritative, and more, what's the word? Not grandiose, but flippant. Yeah, we'll go with flippant. See, Shadow X threw in 5. Thank you, Shadow. How tall is the demon god? Is he taller than Malak? I was asked this, so it might be a you'll see. No, I can answer this one. I can't say how tall he is, but I can confirm that he's much taller than Malak. If that helps. Krakow threw in 5. Thank you, Krakow. Okay, this might be a stretch, but could you say what the power you get for Holiday Horror is? No, I don't want to reveal the power yet because I want it to be a surprise. It's the first thing you get as soon as you start Chapter 5. That's like the first payoff. People have waited years for that power. So let it be a surprise. Is the Super Dark Deception Chapter 3 teaser an area in a transition of holiday horror or in a zone? I can't tell you specifically where that hallway is. It's just a hallway that's part of Zone 2. That's all I can say at this point. Unicat and Jess threw in another 2. Thank you again for all your contributions, Uni. Says, I'm going to university. Praise me. And let's stream, bro. You are praised. Good luck at university. On YouTube. Doing your thing. Okay. At least I got to read your line before it did it. Okay, Google Box from Britain threw in 9. Thank you. Oh, okay, never mind. That's just a donation. There's no question. But thank you for the support. Let me see. Vaxeren threw in 5. Last question, 8 out of 8. Part 2, will Chunk 2 of the remake and Super Dark Deception Chapter 3 come out both at the same time? No, Chapter 3 would be a little bit after the last chapter of the remake because I don't want to spoil the storyline of Dark Deception Chapter 5 in Super Dark Deception Chapter 3 as a cute visual. That kind of ruins it in a way. If you see it second, it doesn't ruin it, but if you see it first, it ruins it because It kind of takes the emotion out of a lot of scenes. Let's see, Google Box from Britain through in 17. Thank you, Google. Or Goggle, sorry. Goggle Box from Britain, 17. Can you give us any hints on the new abilities for Dark Deception Chapter 5? If you can't answer that, then I have another question. Will you do another collab with U2s? If so, who will be made into merch next? Yeah. Well, let me try to answer the first one as best as I can so it's not like a you'll see response. New abilities. I said that you've already seen one of them in Super Dark Deception. And it's in the only hint I'll give you is it's in one of the mini games. That's all I'm gonna say for that. I think most people can figure it out just from that. And then as for the collab with U2's, yes, our next collab is not Dark Deception, it's for House 2. So I believe on September 1st, like a couple days after House 2 goes out, we're gonna really releasing 2 new plushies with U2's for House. It'll be Tabby and Melody. So you can get either of those characters from House 1 and 2. And they're both really cool. I like them a lot. They came out great. And they'll be available 3 days after the game. So you can get the game and get the plushie and have them together. Although, you know, the U2's plushies take a few months to actually arrive, but at least you'll have it secured. See, Bentley Banks through another 5. Thank you, Bentley. Will Bierce have death voice lines for Chapter 5 in Fear Fortress? Yeah. She never stops running her mouth. She has all her death quips. Even when she's relying on you, she's still gotta, you know, mock you a little bit when you mess up. That's cool though. It keeps you locked in on what you gotta do. Ratzello threw in 50 sec. Thank you, Ratzello. I did make a mock-up body of Doom Ducky with eyes and mouth in 2021, and CJ was completed in 2021. I just haven't got a chance to put him in a fan game. Okay. Well, I mean, maybe there's an existing mod or fan game that you can contribute to if you ask the creator in the community, or you could just start your own fan game and use it in that. No sense letting it go to waste, right? So try it. See, you never know what will happen. Let's see, 10 from Leonard Campbell. Is there a lore reason of why the levels are in the order they are? Does mannequins represent limbo? Would you like to watch an indie horror game, Iceberg, which includes Didi, which is tier 3? Oh, I think this is a repeat of the previous super chat. It is. So we got it. This is like a repeat double question. But there is one new part of this, so I'll answer that one. The other two I've already answered. But the lore reason of why the levels are in the order they are, no, there's no lore reason why the levels are in the exact order that they are. That's just the order in which they were created. Agatha was meant to be encountered early. That's why she's the second level. But Doug needed a power to survive her, so she couldn't be the first level. So there are some levels. There's a reason why they are in different segments of the game, but the particular order, not so much, except for Agatha. Let me see. YouTube's doing its thing again. Okay, I'm back. Let's see. Kaya Games threw in 6. I don't know if you already answered, but why isn't Hangry in Zone 1 of Mascot Mayhem? P.S. I love Mascot Mayhem. It's a great level. Yeah, I did answer that already. He's just lazy and wanted to go eat ribs, so I think Lucky just kind of put him on the bench, kind of expecting that him and Penny would, you know, clean house in Zone 1, but they didn't, so Hangry's kind of the backup. second string, or you could say full strength on the ice if you watch hockey. See, Ledesma's 3 and 5. Thank you, Ledesma's. Just wanted to say that I graduated high school before Chapter 5. Also, you're pretty excited for us to check out the final chapter of the game. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I mean, the chapter's taken long enough that a lot of people are getting through high school before the game is done. They're like finishing college and stuff. Uh, so yeah, I'm very excited for people to check out the final chapter of the game. I want to see if all the work we've done all these years has been worth it. But at the same time, that also makes me feel nervous. Like anytime you show off new work, you always feel a little bit nervous about did you make the right decisions or is this good enough? Um, Mainly, it's about the story. Like, will people like the way it ends? How are people going to feel about some of the character development? I went with what I think was what I feel is best. But, there's always going to be varying opinions. And I'm kind of interested to see what people think of the story. And the different characters that they haven't met yet, like Darkstar and Puppet King, some of the other ones that I haven't revealed. So, yeah, I'm excited to get that feedback and see what people think and see if they're excited for Dark Deception 2 and where the story is going from here. So I just have to wait for that instead of the fans, but I think it'll be really cool once we reach that point. See, Leonard Campbell, 3 and 5. Are there any Malak posters in Holiday Horror Prison Panic? Or at least something? Malak posters. I think one cool thing we did in the remake is every level now has ownership by Malak Enterprises somewhere in the level. So when you walk around the different environments, somewhere in the level, some key item or prop or element of that level, you will find uh, signage or tags of some nature stating that this is property of Malak Enterprises or this environment, whatever facility they're in is property of Malak Enterprises. It's all very legal and corporate. Like it's has this corporate presence and everything. Even you're in the hotel, the elevator says Malak Enterprises, or you go to the elementary school, and that's also funded by Malak Enterprises. So Malik's presence and his company's presence is in everything now. So yeah, it's very likely you'll see, if not Malik, but something related to his company in Holiday Horror. And then Prison Panic is a Malik Enterprises rehabilitation facility. Croco6456 through another 5. Thank you, Croco. Last question. Could there be an S rank checklist in the pause menu to see your level S rank progression? Thanks for answering. Um, you mean exclusively just for each level have like a pause menu checklist for that level of what assets you've collected? We could do something like that. I don't want to say that's not feasible or not a good idea. It's just a matter of how we present that and if that fits into our UI. So yeah, I mean that would be a cool thing just to hit pause and instantly see what you have and what you're missing. It's like a fast little checklist reminder. I think I like that in other games too, like having a task list. So it's not a terrible thing to add. I just have to see if it would work with what we have currently. Okay, Goggle Box from Britain threw in another 350. Thank you. Which monster realm is the first created by Malak? Oh, that's going way back. It wouldn't be any of the ones in Dark Deception, as far as like which realm is the oldest. I'd have to probably have to design that specifically. Which one is like the first one? It wouldn't be the hotel or any of the realms that are in Dark Deception 1. Put it that way. Let's just say it doesn't exist yet. Bentley Banks threw in another 5. Thank you, Bentley. Will the monsters in Chapter 5 come to Monsters and Mortals? Oh, I mean, I'd love to say yes, but we have to get through the Chapter 4 characters and environments first. So maybe, like, after that's done, then we could look at Chapter 5. And assuming that, you know, Monsters and Mortals is still doing well and still supported. Unicat Ninjas threw another 5. Says, my outfit is ruined because I was spaghetti into toaster and it broke and somehow all my clothes got scorched even though they was in the dressing drawer. Lol dies. All right, I got through that one okay. It's not 2 lines. Ledesmes threw in 2. And one final support, because why not? Well, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Retzello threw in 20 sec. Thank you, Retzello. Who nominated, or sorry, who animated, but the A is missing. Who animated and did the modeling for DD Chapter 1, 2, 3? For which characters? Because we have a couple people contributing to those. So it's a mix of 3 different animators and 2 character modelers and myself. Let's see, Leonard Campbell threw in 5. What does Bierce think about the Mall's state? Okay. What does Bierce think both of Puppet King and Dark Star? Well, I mean, Bierce is very happy to be in a mall. Put it that way. Though she has an opinion on the merchandise there. And Puppet King, well, I'm not going to like state her exact opinions of Puppet King and Dark Star because I want her personality to kind of come out as you play as to what she thinks about them. But she does have a different opinion of Puppet King and Dark Star. Let's see. Kaya Games threw in 2. Thank you, Kaya. Hengry got a bite of Doug's rib and MM. He said so. Apparently he did. He snuck in a bite when he was punching and beating up Doug. At least he claims he did. We didn't show it. We didn't like prove his claim, but he claims he got a bite. So, yeah, if this was a M-rated game, Doug would probably not look very pretty on the ground. Since it's a teen-rated game, you know, he looks okay. He's just beaten up. See, the real bagel threw in 5. Can you guys add bananas to Hunted? No real reason. I just like bananas. Wait, Hunted doesn't have bananas? I thought for some reason. No, I'm pretty sure the PvP monkey business map has bananas. I could be wrong. I could be wrong. Like I may be thinking of Monsters and Mortals. But I'm pretty sure we added the bananas. But yes, there can always be more bananas. I failed you. I will try to add bananas wherever I can. For no reason. And that is it for Super Chats. We're about 2.5. Whoa, we are 3.5 hours in. I'm going to have to cut it off now. I was wondering why I was like gassing out. Like struggling to read things. 3.5 hours. This is our longest stream I think I've ever done. for these Q&As. So thank you all for sticking around and your patience as I slowly read through all these questions. And I'm looking forward to surprising you all in September with some cool Dark Deception news. Fingers crossed that I can talk about everything, but there's some lawyers in the way. So some things may get pushed maybe later into October or November, depending on when they give me the green light. But I'm hoping I can tell everything in September to make it like this big kind of news announcement. If not, just a couple of the key things. But either way, we have some really cool games coming. House 2 is amazing. If you guys are still sleeping on that, don't. It's one of the best. I mean, unless you don't like adventure horror games. But if you like Sally Face and you like Franbo, you're going to love House 2. It's probably those are the three best adventure horror games I've ever played. And I play House as a fan also. That's one of the reasons I published it, was because I was a fan of House 1. I watched Markiplier play it, and I watched Super Horror Bro play it, and Manly Badass Hero, and it was just fun to watch. So I bought it, and then I wanted to publish it. So we were very fortunate to get to work with them. And I think House 2 is just way, 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 way better than House 1. So I'm really excited to go out and people to see it. And then right after that, we have Piggy Doors DLC, which is awesome. And 2 new game modes finally. We've been promising that for a long time, and it's finally happening. And then just getting Super Dark Deception fixed up and working towards getting, part 1 of the remake out. So I think we still have a lot of good stuff to deliver for the rest of 2026. I have to look at our checklist again, but I think we've gotten through almost everything except for the remake. So not too much more. I think we're tracking pretty well for most of our promises for 2026. Oh, and then the volume 2 book. That's like another big thing to get out. So assuming we get that out and we deliver on everything else for the next 2 months, we'll have completed probably, like 90% of our list for 2026. So I think we're in a good place, and we've got a lot of cool new stuff coming. So yeah, our next live stream. Let's see, I'm going to be in Tokyo for Tokyo Game Show. If any of you are going, maybe I'll bump into you there and you can say hi. I'll probably be back after Tokyo Game Show, which is end of September. I think it's till the 21st. So after that, I think we could do another live stream probably end of September. And hopefully we'll have a lot of cool Tokyo Game Show stuff to talk about. So thanks everybody, and it's been fun, and I'll see you all next time in episode 37. So have a good day or night. Peace out. See you all later.